I'd love to come, but it's my 60th high school reunion.
Sounds like you need a table all of your own. All right, it is 5:30 PM. This is the July 11th meeting of the Arts and Culture Board for the city of Littleton. I am calling this meeting to order. We have all but one people here, which is a quorum. Not that it matters. The first thing on our agenda is a city council liaison report. Our city council liaison Councilwoman Ryden is not here tonight. The next thing on our agenda is public comment. I don't see anyone here wishing to make a public comment. So we will linger for a moment with an awkward pause just in case. And go ahead and close that section. First on the agenda is old business project updates. Staff?
That would be me.
Cool.
Yeah, I have a couple on here at least. The mural program is moving full speed ahead. We have a new mural going up at the National Academy of Fine Arts starting on July 22nd. The artist, the Designosaur, aka Julia Williams, will be starting next week and painting for about 4 days or so. So big thanks to the Public Arts Subcommittee for moving that forward and ratifying that a couple weeks ago.
We given an update on Troy Beer this year,
I can, yeah,
because we haven't done that,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. We're voted last week or last month, I'm sorry, to offer $5,000 towards the Littleton Brew Company mural, proposed mural. And the owner got back to us and said they'd be funding it 100% by themselves, but no support from the city. So that means we still have a balance of $12,000 in the mural program fund for the rest of 2024. It's great.
Will there be an opportunity to see the Centennial mural? I know that's inside of a public school, so.
That's a
Reception?
great question, and I will ask the principal if we can maybe schedule something.
Thank you.
Some kind of like celebratory ribbon cutting type event would be fun.
We introduced Felicia real fast.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Sorry. Helping us tonight is Felicia Sanchez. She's our office manager. She's gonna lend a hand writing notes and recording all the zeros and the ones and such stuff. Since Jenny is indisposed this evening with crutches. Anyway, thanks for your help tonight.
Of course.
Welcome.
Thank
Is she
you.
trained in the ways of sticky notes?
Oh, yes.
The organization?
She knows the sticky notes.
I'm not sure what we meant by lodger's tax grants because that's our purpose here tonight.
Yeah, I think that's just a,
So we're gonna skip over that. And then, as you all know, we have our site visit coming up next week for the consultants who we hired to do the Arts and Culture Master Plan. That's Keene Independent, Keene.
Yeah.
And they will be having a discovery meeting on Monday night from 5:30 to 7 here. And then we also have a specific focus group for this board on Tuesday afternoon, I believe. That I am hopeful that you can make it to if you don't have any conflicts. I realize it's a work day and that's
What time is that on Tuesday afternoon?
give me a
I
second.
think it was 3 or 3:30, but everyone is invited to attend. We do know that everyone won't be able to because it is a work day. We should also mention this is their first visit out, so there are plenty of other opportunities to connect with the team, but a good foundation for
Is
their
it 9:30 to 10:30?
the ACB.
The ACB?
9:30 to 10.
9:30 to 10.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
getting them all confused. Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Thank
9:30
you.
to
I think you're right. Yeah. Thanks, Joe.
So, yeah, so anyway, if you can make it, obviously, we'd love to have you there, but if you can't, that's certainly fine. We will have other opportunities to connect with them, either in person or virtually.
That's it for old business unless Tim, Becky, you have anything else to add?
Any questions, board, on any of that?
Are they gonna be coming to any of our meetings?
Good question. They had talked about joining us remotely. For a meeting, actually.
Yeah, we haven't had any further discussions about that yet. So TBD.
I think the plan is certainly in December or November. after that to present sort of the final
When they
draft.
do the presentation. yeah.
We hadn't talked about before that.
Yeah, the plan is due December 15th, mid-December.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty quick schedule, I would say.
Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, then we will continue on to the main part of our meeting tonight, which is the Tier 2 grant applications review and recommendations. We have a system and some items lined up. I'll talk with that. Do you want me to talk through those, or? I will do so then. So I think maybe not in any particular order. Last time we met, which was in May, we as a board discussed creating tiers or priorities within Tier 2 to sort of facilitate and help this conversation advance. So for those of you who weren't here, what we did and what you saw reflected in your binder was pulling out of mural applications, pulling out of youth programming applications, and then pulling out of not serving or located in Littleton applications. The thought behind those not serving or located in Littleton, I hope is relatively obvious of why those got pulled out. The youth programming has an opportunity this year and this year only to apply for, and I believe we are directly and automatically forwarding all those applications to City Council for consideration with the Broncos Stadium Fund money, which is a significant chunk of money that must be spent on youth programming. So our forwarding those applications onto them probably in May, this is me talking and speculating, give them more of a shot of more of the funding than they wanted than if they had stayed in this big pot. The murals, there were 7 applications, I believe. We have a designated mural fund. Right now, we've got leftover in 2024. We've got 2025 coming up. And so those can be rolled in for consideration there. If, when we're done considering everybody else that was left, sort of round 1 or category A, there's money left over, then we will begin to consider category B. And if there's money left over after that, we'll roll into considering category C. And if there's money left over after that, category D. So that's sort of how we're going to structure tonight. That's how your binders were set up. Another note about your binders, everybody, oh, sorry.
I don't know if this is the right time for it, but some of the grants that I saw within there, would they not have been better to be placed in that youth funding? Am I wrong on the stipulations of why they were placed in there? Because there was some in the priority that I would assume that looked like youth program for most of the part.
We went through as staff and designated them pretty, we went through 2 rounds. With a pretty fine tooth comb, but there will likely be some conversation tonight, I'm guessing, about, I mean, something certainly possible that you belongs to a different category, and I think the discussion will arise naturally, probably. when we
Okay,
get to that.
I was just wondering, because like there was
Yeah.
some, I just was confused on if there was like certain criteria that
Mhm.
placed them in each of the categories.
It's sort of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the Arvada Center one seemed to me very.
Yeah, like there's a few that I feel like they probably could.
We defined youth program, I think the stadium funds is, it's K through 12. So it's.
So there
pretty
might be
specific.
something within that funding that there probably don't apply, there doesn't apply into that.
Potentially, although Anna's right, the explanation on the Bronco Stadium funding is really, really broad. It simply says youth programming that was interpreted K through 12 last year by council. So we're assuming that's the same kind of baseline, but I think it's open conversation. Certainly if the board feels like something needs to be moved in there, we can move anything in or out depending on. It's pretty broad language for the stadium funds.
So we don't know how much money is in the stadium fund?
Approximately $600,000. They had $1 million, I think it was about $1.2 million last year, and council decided to do it in 2 annual rounds, to expend that. So last year they did about $600,000 in grants through that. And then this year, because we had so many grant requests come in for the arts and culture grants. Hey, Tim. city manager's office suggested that we look at rolling those into the state fund. They have more money than we do in arts and culture, and this is sort of the 1 year that we can do that. And last year they did kind of, had to screen to find applicants.
Can I have a little bit of clarification around Hudson Gardens and its current relationship with South Suburban? I'm a little bit confused as to the city of Littleton's relationship to Hudson Gardens. Because if Hudson Gardens is owned by South Suburban, then I would assume some of these applications South Suburban should be possibly funding. Does anybody know the relationship there? But then they're also one of our 4 that we're giving money to.
They're in tier 1. Yeah, they're designated by council as one of the 4 tier 1 recipients for the 2025 grant cycle. They are owned by South Suburban. They're located in Littleton. So it's primarily owned and managed by South Suburban. Littleton has always had sort of a relationship, but it's not very strictly codified. Which is one of the reasons that they're doing this new strategic plan. They're using this year's tier 1 money to do that strategic plan. It's supposed to work on a number of things, probably most notably what the future looks like and how that would involve the city. But right now they are separate and distinct from the city.
Okay.
And I believe most of the applications are organizations that utilize Hudson Gardens as a venue, not Hudson Gardens applying for things that would benefit them directly.
Sure. But it would benefit the programming at Hudson Gardens as a whole.
Yeah. And technically they could apply for, or there's nothing to say in the positives, they couldn't apply for funding in tier 2. I think our sense has always been that tier 1 entities would not draw from tier 2, or at least would be a very low priority within tier 2 because they have tier 1 money already. So it would be
Gotcha.
a little bit of double dipping, I think was certainly I think was staff sense.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask another question? Arapahoe Community College, within the paperwork, maybe I'm wrong, are they thinking of trying to apply for tier 1 funding?
They have approached the board about submitting an application and working with her team at ACC about putting that together. We've given them some input as to what that would involve. The protocol would be it would come to the Arts and Culture Board next month, probably, for a presentation, and then the board would consider it, make a recommendation. Ultimately, it's council's determination as to who gets classified into tier 1, but the board could make a recommendation, yay or nay.
None of that will impact this, so that would be for 2026.
Right. Yep.
Thank you for asking.
So the next little housekeeping item is everyone has sticky notes in front of them. As we go through, we are going to, and I'm just going to use because it's on the screen, we're going to talk about the Denver and District Pipe Band. We are then going to skip Littleton Symphony Orchestra 3 of 3, and we're going to talk about Women's Caucus for the Arts. You're going to put a sticky note on Littleton Symphony Orchestra 3 of 3. The reason we're doing that is because we want to talk about and consider anyone who submitted more than 1 applications in their priority order. So 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. So we'll go down the list. We'll skip Littleton Symphony Orchestra 2 of 3. And then once we get to Littleton Symphony Orchestra 1 of 3, we'll then talk about 2 and 3. So the sticky notes are just to help you mark your binder so you can flip back to it. We thought that was the most expedient way to help you not have to resort or organize your binder in advance, but to honor the priority requests of each of the organizations. So we'll guide you through that as we go. We'll have a couple of other things to go. The other thing that I wanted to let everyone know is when we reach the end of round 1 discussion, everyone can have a chance to change any of the numbers that they submitted that they want. If throughout the conversation you have been moved, swayed, convinced, or whatever organization you truly believe needs to be funded didn't get enough, you can switch your dollar amounts to put them over the top or whatever the case may be. So we'll do that at the end of round 1. If need be, we'll do it at the end of round 2, etc. So just know that as we go through, you will have the opportunity to do that. A couple things that then we're going to do to get started. We're going to just review quickly the policy that what we can and cannot make judgments on. We're going to announce any recusals that anyone might have for any of these organizations. And we're also going to ask for a quick policy decision up front. And so I want to do those 3 business items first. Let's start out with announcing any, is that the policy?
This policy that should be in your packet in front of, or on the table in front of you.
So I think you got it via email today. And it is in front of you. Let's do policy first. So the general gist of this is it's pretty straightforward and there's not any significant limitations put by city council on these grants. The policy calls for, and jump in please anytime. I'm just looking at tier 2. Preferred qualifications include a registered nonprofit located within. Preferred, not required.
Okay. Does registered nonprofit mean 501c3?
This is self-identified, I believe. We have not verified any of this.
In almost every instance, it would. The exception would be if it was a governmental entity, then it's a different IRS designation. But for any nonprofit, it's going to be 501c3.
Does Littleton city limits mean incorporated limits?
Yes, that would be the incorporated city limits,
Okay.
boundary lines.
Prefer that it had said that.
But again, these are all preferred, and you can use and interpret that at your discretion and on a case-by-case basis. Minimum of 3 consecutive years in operation. How many Littleton residents are served? And again, they self-identified and self-claim that. It hasn't been verified or researched or analyzed. It's all on your honor. A DEAI statement. Grant program and individual grant amounts will be defined annually by the Arts and Culture Board and may include, but are not limited to, stabilization funding, support for collaborative programming, and funds available to use for matching funds required for gifts or other arts and culture grantors. So those are just some of the ways that you can use it. Doesn't limit anything else. Applicants will be required to submit detailed plans for the use of the funds and alignment with the goals of the annual grant program. Detailed is up to your discretion. On review, I think that's, any questions about this? The other thing, and I don't remember where it is in the document. We said not more than $25,000 per application per request. So that was the one other caveat. So any questions about the policies?
It's under application protocols on
Oh,
page 1.
thank you.
And you could submit up to 3.
Up to 3. Any questions about the policies? We can always circle back if we have a specific question throughout the night for interpretation. Okay, so that then brings us to the question, and I'd like to ask for a vote on this. I believe there's at least one application that does not qualify based on this. And the example is they requested a grant more than $25,000. So at the Arts and Culture Advisory Board, we can consider that and award them only up to that amount, or we can disqualify them now. So my question for you is, and we'll open it up for discussion first. Should we disqualify any grant application that clearly falls outside of the lines of the policy as written? Any discussion or comments?
Were they confused?
I don't know that it matters for our, I mean, I don't want to guess.
I don't think you should disqualify them. I think you should just put it at 25.
I find it problematic for somebody to apply when it specifically says not to exceed $25,000 per application. It doesn't sit right with me. So I have a few questions about that. I don't know that I love keeping them in, but
When you read within the document, it states, I believe they were suggesting it was for a 2-year span. Is that correct?
I think that's right, Joe.
Yeah. So I don't know if they were confused. I don't know. Yeah. I would side on the side of eliminating them because of the fact that they were over the amount, but
Option of renewal for a total period of 2 years.
yeah, and that's where maybe on their thinking, maybe it's, what I was thinking when I was reading it is that maybe it's per year. But they should have applied separate years, in my mind,
Yeah, and they're,
but
part of the policy is it's like one to be expended within, in that year period, and then I think there's a 3-month grace. With, unless they ask for an extension, but 6 months.
What's the exact wording?
Let me go to Noah first.
It's the last.
Did
one.
anybody talk to him?
Don't believe so.
Is there a chance it was like a typo?
Top
There's
sentence on
certainly a
page two.
chance,
I just
yes.
see it as procedural. I mean, I come from like the world as a consultant, like as the world of like responding to RFPs and getting, oh, I forgot a cover letter and I get my whole thing thrown out for something procedural. I think we should still look at the merit. We would never, give them that amount. Like we have a policy that says we're not gonna award more than $25,000. Sure, if you want to make a request for a gargantuan amount, you can, but the most that we would ever be able to do is 25 to me.
Well,
It
and I
just seems
wonder,
procedural.
I wonder if they're confused in that, you could apply for 25 3 times
That's how it reads.
and maybe they just combined
Yeah.
it. and got
yeah, maybe
confused.
that's what it was.
So I think that.
Because the sentence says applicants may submit up to 3 individual applications not to exceed $25,000 per application, which to me reads $75,000. The way that the sentence is
I mean, in
written.
terms of how they're.
I mean, yeah, I need to go back and look at but they may have identified a couple of different things in there as opposed to the other ones that had, submission 1, submission 2, submission 3.
Is there any,
Yeah.
is there anything, I can't find a statement limiting that on the grant application. Is there another statement somewhere else that people be?
Can you repeat the question?
The grant application doesn't say anything about,
We were just talking about that, and it doesn't reproduce exactly when you print it off, but it is in the top header above at the introduction to the grant application.
Yeah, I'm 100% certain it is. It just doesn't print out with the
Okay.
preview in Microsoft Forms.
okay, so it would state.
It is clearly at the very top.
What does it state?
It states the limitation of the $25,000 per application,
On the actual application
like on the form.
Okay, and does it say that they may submit up to 3 applications?
Yeah.
That to me says 75,000.
The one in question is not 3 separate applications though, right? It's the Littleton Independent.
Yeah,
it's
Looking
one
for
after
one full salary and benefits for
Right.
one staff position, so.
I don't know, I kind of side with Noah on this one. Like, are we gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater on just a procedural note?
We throwing out anybody else based on something procedural, or would this be the first?
This would be the first.
Have there been other people outside the bounds of procedural?
Well, last year, we didn't really have a lot of parameters since it was the first year going in, so we didn't have anything that fell outside the very limited ones we did. This is the first year where we have tightened it down a little bit based on last year's track record. So yeah, this would be the first one that would be eliminated.
Right.
When I was on the SCFD, the Arapahoe County Cultural Council, we would, if grant applications didn't fit the criteria, if they didn't follow the rules, including getting them into the office at the deadline. So if somebody wanted to submit an application like a day after or 6 o'clock on the day that they were due at 5, those were not accepted. So we were pretty hard nosed about following rules. And so I would, since this is only one grant application and it is for 55, I would vote to disallow it.
All right, well, one, can we add a sticky note to the policy discussion to clarify that for 2026? Any other comments before we just decide? I'd like to decide before we start debating. So please raise your hand if you support keeping this application included in consideration this year.
Motion.
I think.
We need a motion and a second.
Do we? Okay, I didn't know if we did, because,
Yeah, I think.
Second.
all right, sorry, who motioned?
Second.
We need a motion.
Oh, you can't make the motion?
Well, then let's do it this way. Would someone make a motion to this issue?
I would. I motion that we exclude them from the procedure since they didn't follow the rules.
Second.
Joe and Roy, all in favor of excluding them from considerations?
Excluding.
Exclude.
Five in favor. Keep your hands up, please. Thank you. Six opposed. Motion fails. 5-6.
That's close.
Wait,
I
sorry.
was confused. I thought
Yeah.
you were counting the first one.
Wait,
Yeah. Put your hands up, put your hands up if you
Let's
want
try
to
again.
not count, if they don't, if they're not, if there's.
We want to remove them from consideration.
remove from
To
consideration.
Yes. I think you counted me twice.
Five opposed, five in favor, 6 opposed.
So they stay in.
They stay in.
Yep. Okay,
Well, the motion fails.
the motion fails.
You can have another motion. And
With-
you can continue the discussion and have another motion on the same subject. but you
I'm comfortable moving on.
You can't go back and do that motion.
Okay, so then the last thing is recusals. If there's any application in here that you are not going to vote on because of your relationship or a relationship with the applicant, I'd like to get those on the record now. I will start and we'll go around. I am not going to participate in the discussion or the vote. Friends of the Library and Museum, my wife sits on that board.
I have no requests.
I know.
I have no pecuniary interest in any of these organizations.
I will be recusing myself for any discussions about Arapahoe Community College.
None.
I don't think so. No.
No.
Question, personal relationship, with the board of director on Western Welcome Week. I'll just recuse, let's recuse Western Welcome Week.
Okay, just to make sure we got these correctly. JD for Friends. Katie for the 3 from ACC. And Noah for Western Welcome Week. Did I miss anybody?
Does that, we can still vote or can we not vote? We just can't talk about it.
Not very.
Not,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought I voted last year.
Last year we had them recused from the board, but they ended up voting in the.
Yeah, we voted.
grouped everything,
Oh, you're right.
so.
So we can still
Katie would
vote.
recuse herself from recommending a dollar amount,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're.
but then you'd
exactly
still
right.
vote when
Right.
we do batch voting.
Thank you.
Good memory.
So
Perfect, thank
You
you.
can still vote, you just can't talk about it.
we should do this more often, so we're.
I don't know.
Or not.
All right. That brings us then to the end of all of our rules and regulations and housekeeping. We wanted now to give everyone a chance to comment about their approach to these, not more than 2 minutes each. But if you wish, and you don't have to, talk about your philosophy, your approach, your beliefs, anything that you think is relevant to the organization or otherwise for this purpose, you are welcome to do so now. Not on specific organizations, but more broadly, generally, this is the time. So Denise,
Well, I don't need 2 minutes, but, and I thank you. The notebook helps a lot. I started with the preferred qualifications. It's a great way for me to just keep things in check in my own mind, nonprofit located in Littleton, current programming, DEAI statements. I also like to look at the impact for the residents of the city of Littleton, and something that I like to see is, and it's, I know this is suggested, but we do suggest that they have a detailed plan for the use of the funds. Instead of being vague, I try to look at if it's detailed and if it's something that they can execute. So that's what I start with.
Yeah, the impact row is important to me too, just how much would it specifically benefit Littleton?
Yeah, I'm, direct benefit to the residents as preferred in incorporated Littleton. And benefit to programming or, public art.
I approached it first
removing the murals and the youth programs based on Hannah's recommendations. So I gave no funding to any of those programs and focused specifically on category A. And then I was okay awarding to for-profits if they were having a direct impact. And it seemed like it was helping sort of boost the economy. I looked at a lot on the impact of how many served, specifically Littleton residents. And I also looked at if these organizations are receiving any other funding sources, like if they're receiving SEFD funding, that was important to me to see that, as well as their annual budgets, so.
Yeah, so I really enjoy this exercise, but I did it wrong. And I'm kind of frustrated because I was like, okay, we have 250. I wanted to end up giving away 250 exactly. And I did try to like do it proportionally to like A, B, C, D, E, with A the most. But I did put money toward B and C, which it sets me all off now. You know, if we don't, you know, my numbers are off going into this. Like if I don't need to give anything to B and C, my math is off. So,
You're okay.
You will have an opportunity when we've gone through the first round or the first round of the A's, you can then go back and reallocate the money you have in B and C if you want to, if you want to do that.
yeah.
And we may well get into those other tiers.
Right. Okay, so, the other thing is I did, think that, Littleton Ballet is youth. And maybe that Arvada Center seems mostly youth, so.
For those, we did look at the specifics of the request and categorize them according to that.
Okay,
So
you
for
don't
the
think they would
ballet,
get-
For example, there was a scholarship request and that went into you. Well, yeah, I actually, we need to, let's discuss that when we get to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I was just wondering if any of the ACC, the scholarship, if that could go to youth? That's over 18,
I
but
had that question too.
The designation last year was K through 12, so that's why we didn't look at those as youth programming. I don't know how hard and fast they're gonna be with that with the stadium funding. That one's kind of outside our control.
Yeah, okay.
With last year's process that's used.
Yeah, the only thing I can say, and I know I recused myself, but concurrent enrollment is through high school. So 50% of ACC students are high school students.
Oh, okay.
But
God-
are those students
God
going to
help
study
me.
abroad?
What?
But those aren't students that are going to study abroad.
Yeah, they are.
They are?
They are.
Concurrent enrollment
I'll
students.
see
Yep.
that changes
God
my
help me,
mind
yes.
totally.
I took
Yeah.
them to Spain and they did not behave.
They were
you
high
should,
school.
you should check out EF.
Those
They
kids
were-
behave.
they-
Know
it
all
was
about
EF.
that.
It was, yeah.
Was he? My
Yeah.
my kids behave.
Well, see, these kids are older and they're worse.
Of course they are.
Anyway, sorry.
Well, and as we go through these, if there are ones that look like they are emerging as being one of the other buckets, we can certainly reallocate those and send those applications over to stadium funding. That has not closed yet, so.
I think that's the stadium funding is open until July 15th.
Let's do this too. After we go around, if there's anybody that's in category B, C, or D that you feel strongly should be put in A, we'll do that before we get started.
Or conversely, if it should be pushed out of A into another category.
Michelle, anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay,
So I very much, they're located in Littleton with a non-for-profit programming, their DEI statement. Then I really looked at the amounts and then what they were asking for and the goals. So I did compare those two things. And then I really wanted a balance between the performing arts and visual arts and what that impact was. So those were some of the things that I thought about as I looked at.
Local impact, really. That was kind of the main thing that I was looking for, local organizations that are making local impacts.
Same as well. I do have a couple concerns with some of the applications. I feel that they should be moved to youth. Impact is a major one. as well for me. And also making sure that the money is being allocated to different areas of arts and culture, not just one specific area, so.
Yes, all of that, and I wanted to know what they're using the money for. If they didn't answer the questions about what the money is being used for, but they
It wasn't
were
clear.
lower on my list.
All those things and that last thing, I think it felt like sometimes they don't put that, it just looks like they're just kind of fishing for grants. And we want this to be impactful for Littleton. I also had struggles, like I've said in the past, around allocating the fund. So I have both sides of my brain going where the use of funds for salaries is tough for me. Mostly because it's not always gonna be there. I don't want to depend on it. But then I also go, well, if they have, like, maybe they don't have the capacity with their current staff to offer programming, and having that staff means they could broaden their programming. So I kind of went back and forth with that in my brain, but I think mostly impact and making sure that I knew where they were actually gonna spend the money.
And I considered that same thing. I'm happy to support staff when it leads to more revenue, when it leads to growth, when it leads to the ability to sustain that staff in the future. I understand that it sometimes takes a bump to get things started, but I like an indication of, by having this person, we'll grow our membership, therefore we'll have more dues, therefore we'll be able to, et cetera. So that was a big one of it for me. I looked at shared funding versus total funding. If they were relying on us for 100% of funding for a project, I was less inclined to go down that path. I like it when funding is diversified. I looked for details. Some of the dollar amounts seemed very made up. Others were very, very much articulated. This is for this, this is for this. I appreciate the latter. And then I always look at benefits to the public versus benefits to existing audiences or members. So I think, as a made up example, if we're buying, I really hope this isn't in here. I don't think it is. If we're buying nicer paintbrushes for our existing artists, I am inclined to award less to that than we are buying paintbrushes for new artists or people that don't have it, so that the experience reaches a broader audience. So that was my basic approach. I think, again, as a reminder, policy questions, refining this as we go are welcome. Write those down on a piece of paper, and then we'll ask Becky or Anna or Tim, or we'll submit those things that we want to discuss probably in, guessing September, maybe August is.
Probably not August. We've got getting a pretty full agenda in August. I would say probably October would be,
Okay.
I think that's what we looked at last year, September, October.
So we'll update and enhance policy then. But so try to keep notes of them yourselves now. We'll try to do so as we have conversations, but that policy change will be a future conversation. Okay, I think we're through everything except for our newest item, and that is if there are any applicants that are in a category you believe is incorrect. And so if you want to move someone from category A to B or B to C or whatever, let's have those conversations now. I'll give everybody a minute to look, or if you're ready.
Category A, Kim Robards dance. I did not understand why they were in A.
And I want to,
There's one part of it, there's.
One
an
was in
adult-
A, one was in E.
There's like one adult class, but the mass majority of that whole is like all of their details is all K-12. So I agree
Oh,
with you.
no, I would have put it in, yeah.
Yeah, I would have put it in youth as well.
Yeah, I think.
In E or U?
Maybe. I would
Oh,
put it
yeah,
in E.
you're right, because the other grant they have isn't.
Yeah,
So say that again. No.
I thought they belonged in E, and I even Googled them, and I don't see it. I don't
They
understand.
had two separate grant applications for programming in two separate locations.
Yep.
One of them was within Littleton, Incorporated Littleton, and one of them is.
But it says it's a nonprofit, but then it's placed in a for-profit category.
Which one is this?
No, it's in category.
Kim Robards.
The second one, so she has two.
The 2 of 2 in category A. Number 23, is that the one that you're looking at?
Kimber,
Open Doors East Side?
yeah,
Yeah.
Robarts too.
And then her second, the second one, Ms. Robards, one of two
Not serving.
is in not serving or
I
located.
see. So it is a nonprofit?
Yes.
Okay.
And the one
I'll
that's in
find out.
category A specifically calls out programs will be offered free to Littleton residents. So it does impact, it says programs will be offered free to Littleton residents.
But it's in Denver. Their programming is in Denver.
Right, but the
One of-
impact is for Littleton residents. So I just, that was one thing that I highlighted, to keep it straight. I just wanted to put that out that I had it in my notes too.
My concerns though is the mass majority of the grant is falling within the age ranges of K through 18. There's one class that they mentioned, but it's for maybe adults, but the rest of it is all youth.
You're looking at one of two or two of two.
This is the 2 of 2,
Yeah,
which is in, I
it's-
believe, priority, correct?
Page 47.
Yep.
I think we're hearing two separate issues. Michelle, I think you're asking about one of two and why it's in not serving Littleton, not located in Littleton, and that's because that location was in Denver, I think it was.
It was outside, it was not
It
incorporated.
was out, yeah, it was outside of incorporated Littleton. And then Joe, you're talking about 2 of 2 being allocated into youth program instead of in priority A.
Correct. Simply because the mass, I would say over 80% or 90% of the grant money would be going to K-12.
I just revisit again, I'm sorry, I think I was a little caught by surprise with the youth programming being pushed to a different category of focus. Were they aware, all these people that were applying, that maybe they would be pushed towards a different scholarship or?
They weren't at the time. All those applications have this relatively new information after the applications come in. There was gonna be stadium funding that was available for youth programming, and there was a request that we move those over. So those have been submitted for stadium funding now. So they've been moved over there. I think you contacted the renters, grantees.
Yeah, applicants.
No,
No,
Oh, okay.
the applicants don't know.
okay,
yet.
so they don't,
Yeah.
they're waiting until we
Yeah, I
make
didn't.
determinations.
Yeah. I didn't have-
Yeah.
Do we have to contact them before we move it? I just want to make sure we're fair to all of these applicants that thought that
I
we
mean,
would
that's
give
a
them a fair
discussion we can
shot.
have now.
I think the reality
Well,
is if we fund them tonight, they would likely not be eligible for grant funding. So we need to make determinations on our funding before they get permanently put into that category. That's my guess.
Not eligible for that other scholarship grant funding or that other grant funding? Is
stadium
that what you're
funding.
saying?
I think if they receive
Okay.
money from one pot from the city of Littleton, they likely won't get it from another. That's been the policy of city council on
Perfect.
other
Okay.
arts organizations.
Wonderful. Thank you for clarifying.
Sorry, I think we confused her for a second there, Emily, but JD is right. That generally they're not going to receive funding from two separate pots. And I think JD said this at the beginning. Given the amount of money that's in the stadium funding and the lack of applicants last year, I think they have youth programming applicants have a better chance of getting closer to full funding in stadium funding. Just for this 1 year,
All
but
right.
it would be a higher funding level, I think.
Thank you for letting me clarify.
So it's not, the kid I'm worried about, it's not disadvantaging the youth. They're in the other category. They're actually going to have
Benefiting
need to
them.
put it in a different area where they could probably have the chances of getting more funding. I think
More
it
likely
is.
get full funding.
Right.
Last year, all of the applicants in stadium funding got full funding.
Okay.
So
Are we done talking about that one? Cause I wanted to talk about the.
what
other
I think what I'd like to do is let's talk about Kim Robards' dance, 1 of 2, which is now in category D or E, the last. E.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to make a motion that it get moved to a different category? Okay.
Are both of them in E?
My original one was for 2 of 2, which I just don't understand.
Let me finish. No
Yeah.
motion for moving 1 of 2. Okay. Kim Robards dance, 2 of 2. Would anyone want to make a motion to move it to a different category?
Where is it now?
It's in priority.
An A.
So I'm.
We can have a motion and then a second and then discussion before we vote.
I motion to move it out because it's in Denver, and even though it's serving Littleton residents potentially,
Yes.
I worry that it won't.
All right,
I
so we
second.
have a motion from Katie and a second from Joe.
Yeah, I'll
So
go
now
second.
discussion.
Where are you saying? Where are your motion moving to?
I would say we move it to you.
Yeah, I would also like to just specify too that it says, it's confusing because the Denver Ballet Theater is actually located in incorporated.
It's located near Broadway and Mineral. It is within city boundaries.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right, so I think it still needs to be moved to youth so that if they want to apply and give that other grant money, then that would be great. That's gonna be my position on a lot of these.
So I just want to clarify. I thought Katie's motion was to move it out of consideration legally.
No, to move it to youth.
Oh, okay, then I misunderstood. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I misunderstood.
Move it
Is
to
youth
youth.
E or is youth?
Youth is C.
Oh, C.
Oh, yeah, murals.
Move it to C.
Yep.
C.
And I
That's what I'm
second
That
that.
was your second. Okay,
And I second
okay,
that.
sorry. Okay, we're back on track. now. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Any discussion on that?
So glad you're here.
And let me just state what I believe is. We discussed moving into stadium funding. City manager's office is aware that it's coming. I don't think that I could look at all of you in the eyes and tell you that there's a guarantee that it will be funded if it moves to stadium funding.
This
Is
one
that-
specifically?
Anything.
Oh.
I just wanna I don't want it to be a rubber stamp, it's a green light, it's a definite
Yeah,
yes.
there's
City
no
council
guarantee-
will make that
no guarantee
decision.
Until council makes their determination.
Just as city council can change anything we do here tonight in any of the categories. So I just to be fair and clarify, there is no 100% guarantee.
We did send them the applications that we went through as staff and felt were youth pro. They have those in hand. We also told them the board will be going through all of these and there may be more coming over. I don't know if I told them there might be coming out, but that should be certainly possible too. So that grant window is not closed until 15th. So we can move those around as the board wishes to do. So
I still would like to do that because I think that it put them all in the same bucket with all the youth programming. And I think that would be, at least for me, I'd be more comfortable stating that to someone in the public about why we did it.
So we have a motion and a second.
Category.
Motion and a second to move Kim Roberts Dance Incorporated 2 of 2 to the youth programming category. Any other discussion before we vote? Show of hands to move Kim Roberts Dance into youth programming.
favor. Those hands up, folks. Thank you. 3 opposed, motion carries.
All right, any others that you want to discuss?
Similarly, I think Littleton Youth Ballet.
I believe they have several. Which one are you talking?
This is 2 of 3.
Only one
It's
category.
only 1, 2 of 3.
Two are in the category C.
Okay. So Littleton Youth Ballet, moving it from category A into category C. We would need to start with the motion in a second.
Do you motion? Because
Yeah,
I'll second. Second.
Michelle motion, Joe seconded. Discussion and questions?
Yeah, I think with this one, again, it was a response to the direct application. This one was for marketing material. So I think it's just how you look at it. The specific request is not, you could argue is not directly impacting the youth attending Littleton Ballet, but you could also argue that, I mean, anything that they do is for the mission of that organization. So.
I think it's for me, it was ambiguous as to whether it was marketing material to say, hey, Littleton community, come see our production of. Versus, hey, Littleton community, send your kids to our classes. And that's not clear to me.
This is one that I didn't consider at all what they were using the money for. It's marketing. That's pretty wide open.
And when I looked at it, I just felt that that's where their wheelhouse is youth, so I would like to move it to tier C.
Any other discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second to move Littleton Youth Ballet 2 of 3 from category A into category C for youth programming. All in favor of making that move, show of hands.
Seven, four.
Thank you very much. Any others?
Yes, so the Arvada Center for the Arts and Humanities,
Is
move it from A to C.
that a motion? Motion by Kate, second
So
by
can we-
Katie.
Can we just pause for 20 seconds while we catch up real fast?
And maybe a discussion.
To talk, so in terms of the Arvada Center, I worked there for like, and, I actually went out and did the.
1 second, hang on.
Just
Oh, don't
seriously,
talk
just
at all.
pause, just a second. So I'm moving Littleton Youth Ballet 2 of 3 from A to C. I'm just gonna throw it in here.
Becky moves fast, but not that fast.
And then what's the next one we're discussing?
Yeah.
Now we're on our back.
Our Madison. All right, thank you very much.
So,
Motion second. On our back.
No, I did not.
Oh, sorry.
Who was the motion second on that? Katie?
Motion was Kate.
second, I seconded.
Kate and Katie.
Kate and Katie, okay, thank you.
So I was just saying that I've actually worked for this program, this outreach program, and long time ago, but basically what you're doing is the Arvada Center is getting paid somehow to go out to after-school programs or into schools to do specific programming. So they're coming, so I would drive all over the state, so Littleton is one of very many other places that they do these outreach programs too. So I recommend it being moved to the youth program.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second to move Arvada Center for the Arts and Humanities from category A to category C, youth programming. All in favor of doing so?
Eight. Eight, three, it passes. Got that one.
Any others who would wish to move?
Just a question, Becky, before we start, can you, tell us what the total is now for category A? If we move Littleton Independent to 25,000 and the other one's out?
Sure, just a moment.
So, but Littleton Independent only asking for 25,000?
Oh, it changes the total.
Yeah.
I don't think we can do that with Littleton Independent. Yeah, we'd have to go
Okay.
through the round robin first. That's what we'll land at that point.
So I'm including Littleton Independent right now.
I would keep it at 55 because we haven't had action on it yet.
We're at 334.
Okay, thanks.
So
I have one more.
35,000.
Sure, sure.
So in terms of the Art Spark Creative Studio, I mean, my kids take classes there. It's youth programming, but they're for profit. Would they be allowed to apply for stadium funding, or do they have to stay? They're not allowed to because they're full. Because it's entirely youth.
The stadium funding guidelines say nothing about nonprofit.
So I would motion that the Art Spark Studio should be moved to category C. Well, motion that.
I second.
Motion from Katie and a second from Kate.
I'm sorry, where do they live right now?
They're in
category-
D.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Where are they? They're in category
They're
C.
for
D.
profit.
Right, I got it now. Thank you. That's it.
They're great. My daughter loves
They
it.
reside in Littleton.
Yeah, oh, my daughter.
Yeah.
I would just hope that we get funding if, I mean, I want them to get funding, but, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's very little guidance in the state.
I just, as long as that the for-profits can, like, as they are a for-profit.
I don't know what happened last year when there were any more problems. There isn't anything that says they could.
Okay.
So a motion and a second for Art Spark Creative Studio moving from category D for profit into category C, youth programming. Any other discussion or comments? In favor of making that move, show of hands. Any other moves? Going once. Going twice. Noah? Contemplating or?
Nope, just thinking.
Okay. Okay, then I'm gonna close the movements. And I think now we are ready to start debating category A from the top.
I would just say this was an excellent exercise, and again, just like last year, thank you to all the members for coming. So this really does make the process go wonders.
So Becky, Anna, how would you like us to do this?
In order.
So
The order we have seated, the order I have at the top.
So we are not necessarily looking to offer any explanation. Really, what we're looking for is just a dollar amount for each organization, go around the table and keep moving on. That work for everybody?
We're doing each person's list or each organization.
We'll do it by organization, I think, by organization.
In order.
So you said no discussion, just the number.
I don't want to say no discussion. If someone has something that is really valuable to say, please jump in and say it. I'll also say this just for the sake of doing it. Stand up and get a Coke or stretch your legs.
It's 6:30 and on our schedule, almost 6:30, we do have a break scheduled.
Did we? I was gonna,
Like go to the bathroom?
yeah, does anyone need a bio break right now?
I would like one.
Yes.
Okay. Then let's do it.
Works.
Are the food doors unlocked?
My jacket.
Yeah.
Freezing.
How are you? We've been.
I mean, I'm just
Becky, are we
saying.
paused right now? Or are we-
You're like, I need it.
That's
That's why I wear pants.
I
It's like, oh, I need it.
I brought it.
Not to take her.
That's fine.
Okay.
Everybody, we are
Go
still
ahead.
live and recording.
And you don't have to spread.
Like that was a good pass.
Nice.
Well, my father-in-law, he's like.
Yeah. And you don't. And you're.
I don't
you are
have
more
any
than welcome.
store
Hands up.
to know that it's fine for
No.
that.
Yeah, no.
We're kind of pushing them down the list.
Otherwise, then it's like-
Big priority. It's
Bring it
not
back in.
assumption. But you need.
Oh, yeah.
You think we're making that sound like that much better?
No.
for them?
We're good. Got all the motions captured.
Kind of-
Yep.
All right. It's an
Tim's
internal
yes.
struggle.
It's up to
Like,
you.
We thought.
Other
Yeah.
But
Tim
I
stuff.
don't know.
We need tip stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, if you wanna take Dennis stuff down,
We
that'd be
got
great.
Yeah.
Collectively, we
looking
will
for-
have it all.
They're similar. I would, your points.
Okay, I'm good.
Solid.
We are.
Got a lot of notes.
Good, good.
It's more likely there. I will say that the idea for, you know,
Yeah.
manager's office.
Go
Just
for
like.
the meals.
I can walk back.
Asks in the.
I forgot about that.
Nancy went to Costa Rica, which was,
Oh, you're right. Yeah, she got it right.
she did that for California, so she's supposed to sing. And then she came back for a week.
Yeah,
I
that's-
forgot about
Saturday, she leaves for Alaska for 2 weeks. And she'll come back for a day and a half, and then we'll all go to Montana for 2 weeks.
Oh,
man.
And then, and that takes us up to the Saturday before show starts.
We did, we did it, yeah,
That's her summer.
but you're right, Emily was.
It's travel, laundry. It's, yeah, it's great.
That's great.
Yeah, that's, it's fine. Is that, again, it's not a guarantee, the council has a birthday, but it comes with the approval.
They're kind of nudging.
Well, they are, and
Somewhere to.
Tyler.
Well, yeah.
After all that. I think so too.
And they brought up some
Two
good
to
points
four
in
votes.
the Historic Preservation Board, the museum.
But you're right, I mean, it is still.
It's his second period. No, it's.
Yeah.
They all do
No,
one.
no, look, drop that up. You're right.
Put it away.
Did you
Wow.
have a sandwich?
It's been a long time.
Huh?
Yeah. I say, hopefully we'll be-
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
I almost asked.
That looks
like.
This is what you eat later.
My head were discussing.
Yes.
Like,
It's the brownie.
Oh, so many moving pieces on all these things, you know? Our cushion was great.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah,
But that's-
it was,
I think that's-
I did
and
talk
Brianna
about
went with
like,
We just have a-
as a parent,
Oh,
not as a
good.
chaperone, but
Oh,
just as a
good,
parent.
good.
And so she had
Yeah.
things to say.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's always great to have parents go along too. It's nice.
She is.
Always enjoyed as well.
No, was asking about.
It's been a while since we've done foreign travel.
Either.
I mean, she was full of
Is consumption.
life support. So they've got her off that and she's in rehab.
It's fine.
So there's
Station. The God signs of it. But
There's a lot of things going on. Things changed it, but glad it turned out well. I guess the next
trying to
trip
get her
is.
Japan, I don't know if that's locked in yet.
Yeah,
That's what I've heard.
that's what the.
For Japan and then Ireland is even more fuzzy.
Oh, wow. So just blended all out.
No, you're in the mess. I mean.
A lot of changes. I gotta go on a trip to Boston.
Well, ours.
Thank you.
I chose
It's
Boston.
just been a lot. I've been flying back.
See that.
Yeah. My dad had a.
So
It'll be interesting to see. Because I've always had a different program. So
It's a lot of things.
It's been a lot.
maybe there's guys.
All the time.
EF trip or?
Yeah, trip, I would say. A lot of our program is kind of internal. The last one.
I'm going when it's time to go.
You're going?
Oh,
You going on DC?
I love these. I
Oh,
love Boston.
Yeah, Boston's really good too. Yeah, I will do it. The next trip is. I'm kind of looking at Boston too.
Just out of curiosity, on trips like that.
I'm just sort of thinking.
Like, I went.
So hard. You're under pressure. I wasn't feeling.
I've had some.
You guys look. I'm not under pressure.
No, what happened? This was under a different. But I'm assuming it'll be.
Okay.
Jason likes birds.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, that's kind of,
Yeah, I
an
see it.
extended trip.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you want to stay there longer to do something else, it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh my God.
The last year was everyone tossing out different numbers that they felt were appropriate.
Well, we all understand.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's
Not
not.
necessarily what
Well, but
requested. Like,
Right.
Right. 20 grand. Say, well, how about that?
Yeah. Zero. And we
I'm not
did
gonna
last year,
eat
like
it.
there were a lot of us.
Well, I'm sure there are gonna be some.
Yeah, some of them were really.
And then.
Definitely not. There would be people that had knowledge of like certain
But I'm
one
gonna eat
that,
this
you know, I gave
sandwich.
zero to. But this is what it is. This is what it is. And you're like, okay, fine.
Yeah, it's like, okay, maybe I better throw it away.
Airport.
Yeah, so.
Oh, my standards are.
Like I said, I look at all these. They've got a decent beat on them, but I
But within-
thought we were doing the dollars now. I didn't know we had to come.
So I went back.
So.
Then we went, I got back
So wait,
like
wait.
camping
On the
with
fly a
my
little bit.
family,
No, but
and then I went back.
All right.
Yeah, it has been
So it's
my,
just like,
my
I pretend I knew what.
mother-in-law.
Yeah.
had that.
This year we had to.
And you don't know, you're not worried about the interior.
Yeah, I rented a car. There you go. This is my fourth. So I just have to wait for the one I think that was
Oh.
But I had.
Sorry.
No way, I was gonna rely on my.
No, it's always a meal.
Not
I just
a
really
regular
grab my
brother.
jacket because I
Well,
this
Funny,
is
that's
You gave
not
that
true.
to-
No, a lot of
Frankly,
it's generally great, like.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So not too crowded.
Oh,
There's
that's
just
right.
some automatic walks up there. How about you?
I feel like genre was, it's like a unicorn. It's like a double, it's like a sauce, it could be a towel, it could be a blanket, it could be whatever. It's just like put that thing on, it's got like armholes.
Yeah, the priorities.
It's not a shot in the dark.
Shakes out.
I've never been there.
Discomfort enough. It's just a matter of.
I think.
The ones that like place down all the way up.
Just cover all
Out,
of
after like-
That I read it.
Yeah. Yeah, everything's just Wyoming, like. Usually they have.
And then is there a bridge made?
I would-
Of every school bridge down?
No, we're good, we're good.
So they.
This year.
And then they do.
With that,
Okay,
it's got a little bit.
so that's just a little spreadsheet. then.
Oh, like my husband's so hot. No, I have not.
Well, I was gonna say, it's a subjective process.
Yeah.
You know, Is that what you said? Okay, yeah.
Go and I.
Got pretty.
Yeah, why don't you do
Oh, wait a minute, you guys are gonna fight?
No, we're not.
So we're not.
All right, we are all back and around the table. So we're gonna stop off with a quick public service announcement and then off to the races we go. Tim.
Thanks to Noah, actually. He and I were chatting in the break about whether or not we were making big assumptions about whether or not moving, but we move groups, applications into youth programming, whether there was any realistic chance they would get funded with the stadium program funding. And as we were chatting, we both realized that so likely we were not here in May and didn't hear the fact that this suggestion came to us from the city manager's office. Jim and Mike brought it to us and said, we know you have more applications for grants in arts and culture than you did last year. If you have youth programming ones, we suggest you move it into the stadium funding. And they've already talked to the mayor and the mayor pro tem, so they're aware of it too. So Noah and I decided there's no guarantee until council actually votes on it, but we didn't want any members that missed in May to think that this was something we just sort of creamed up. This was the result of a suggestion from the city manager's office. So, and I know you weren't here, Kate, I don't think you were here either.
I wasn't.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, so at
so,
least.
so several people didn't hear that explanation back in May. So hopefully that gives you a little grounding, and I apologize for not thinking of that sooner. Thanks for, to Noah for bringing that up.
All right. So we're gonna start at the top of the list. We're gonna shoot out numbers and this should go pretty quickly. That said, again, if someone has something they want to say, jump in and say it.
Get it off your chest.
Yeah, get it off your chest, but I'm not gonna necessarily stop at each person or comment. So if you interrupt, if you need to.
Did we ever decide if we were gonna move? You had mentioned the scholarship fund from ACC, moving that to.
Oh, we did not.
Whoa, that was a good one. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah, I know I'm not supposed to talk about.
Yeah, the ACC, that changed my mind when you mentioned that a majority of percentage of that are actually people who are in high school. A lot of those people going on those trips are in high school. They're not college students. They're going on those trips in high school.
I just don't know if they should be
But it's
eligible.
not limited to high school, right? I mean, it's
It's
not
not.
limited to K through 12, so there are students outside of that.
There are,
Requirement.
correct.
And the requirement for the funding for the stadium, does it specify K through 12?
It does not. It just says youth programming. Last year council used K through 12 as a guideline, but it is not stipulated in the study stadium funding.
But without that explanation, is city council gonna realize that?
Yeah, and also with those grants, another thing would be a concern is that some of those people applying for those grants might not be in high school. They might be in college. So, or college age. So that might be a
I mean,
concern
it's
too.
kind of.
It might be best just.
I would say with the scholarships, I mean, it can be 50-50. You know, who goes on those trips?
I mean, I can also argue, don't come off your parents' benefits until you're 26. I mean,
I certainly have, God help me, 17-year-olds and 16-year-olds, that I'm dealing with.
if it doesn't stipulate in the medium, then
I think, let's just do this. We will entertain a motion to move it if someone would like to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and move the study abroad to youth.
Does anyone want to second Kate's motion?
I'll second.
Joe will second.
Which one is that, Kate? Is that
That's one of three.
one of three? Okay.
That's their priority number one.
Okay.
Okay, so
Well, and I do want to say one thing really quickly, because I had Anna clarify this for me. Those scholarships are specific to residents of Littleton. So, I mean, I'm looking at the greatest impact on what we can do for residents of City of Littleton. So knowing that that scholarship, it's a requirement for that scholarship to live in the City of Littleton, I would be more inclined to keep it. So we can fund it and make sure that we have a little control over that instead of sending it on and maybe hoping that they get some youth funding from the stadium. That's just my,
How much, they have $600,000 to work with though, right?
Yeah.
And if the conversation is about moving it to a youth section, then it doesn't really matter if it's focusing on Littleton citizens or not, because the other youth ones, a lot of them are focusing on Littleton citizens. Okay. I'm just saying, the stipulation that it's focusing only on the Littleton residents who would get that scholarship, it's neither here nor there in terms of us moving it, because that's whether it is for mostly high schoolers or not, right? Because there are other youth programs.
There's
of
no
course-
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But there's no stipulation that it's for high school. That's an arbitrary, definition.
That was council's interpretation last year, but you're right.
So we have a motion and a second to move ACC 1 of 3 from category A to category C for youth programming. Any other conversation or discussion? Show of hands, who is in favor of moving it from A into C?
We're a fast counter. Didn't pass the 6-5.
Oh, I'm not allowed to vote, am I?
You wouldn't be voting in favor
Yeah,
of
you're not.
funding, you'd be voting for how
Moving.
how it's considered. in the
Yes.
process.
Yeah, you can vote.
But I can put in money too. I can put for money. I just can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
So let me throw this out and just to make the night longer. I am not necessarily comfortable about waiting to see how our funding goes and then moving someone to youth programming or whatever after we've allocated funds. That just feels a little disingenuous to the process. So what I would offer is, if there's any other movements to make, let's make them before we start allocating funds.
That makes sense.
So did that
That'd be
pass
muddy.
though? Did that pass?
It did pass, yes.
So, what is it, Mezzo de Las Americas? I didn't know for sure if that was only youth, but it might be, it seems like it is. Where's that?
Page 3.
What's the question?
I was just wondering if it is
Educational workshops and travels.
I'm assuming it's K-12, but yeah, they're mentioning schools and everything else that they, of course, deal with in Littleton, and it's a middle school and an elementary school.
I can find it. It's page 30. You're right that the schools that they mentioned are adults.
I was just wondering if
It
there was
never
other programming for
specifically says.
adults,
Yeah, I don't think it specifies here.
Okay.
That was not my interpretation.
so maybe it should stay. I'm just clarifying.
Um. Yeah, my guess is it'd probably be a mix of.
Yeah,
of
So it
people.
might be best to just stay where it's at.
That would be fairly additional for museum
Mhm.
programming, so I guess it's a mixture.
Okay.
Last call for real this time. All right. If everyone would please open their hymnals to page 1, Encore Players. Are you ready for us?
I'm ready.
All
Are
right,
you ready?
I will start. Let's go around the table. $2,000.
2,000.
2,000.
2,000.
2,000.
One task. Emily, what was yours?
2,000.
2,000, oh, sorry. Roy, 2,000?
Yeah, RT 2,000.
Okay.
2,000.
2,000.
2,000.
2,000.
2,000.
2,000.
1,000.
Okay. Highlands Ranch Community Concert Band, 1,000.
0.
Sorry.
500.
2,000.
1,500.
500.
0.
1,000.
2,000.
0.
500.
Guess that jump in if anybody needs to. Heritage Fine Arts Guild of Arapahoe County, 1,000.
1,500.
2,000.
1,500.
2,000.
15.
1,500.
Yes. None.
1,000.
2,000.
2,000.
500.
Denver District Pipe Band. I have one question about this, and I don't know if you know the answer. They talk about programming in the summer of 2024.
That might be a typo because they're an
Okay.
applicant from last year.
I
And they've
assume-
already successfully completed last year's programming, or I think they will in August, maybe next month. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's 2025. Catch.
In fact, I know it is because Susan said
Susan
it's
said
for
that.
25, yeah.
Okay.
It's a typo.
2,000.
I have some money to play with since we've moved
Yeah.
people around, so I'm gonna say 3,240.
3,240.
Mm-hmm. That's what they'll ask.
2,000.
2,000.
3,240.
1,500.
3,240.
2,000.
2,000.
2,000.
1,500.
Okay, we are skipping Littleton Symphony Orchestra 3 of 3. We will talk about it in a minute. Use that handy dandy Post-it note to mark your page. Moving on next, Women's Caucus of Art. 2,000.
3,600.
4,000.
2,000.
3,000.
2,000.
4,000.
2,000.
4,000.
4,000.
1,000.
Littleton Q plus, 2,000.
0.
That one was 1,000.
2,500.
4,000.
2,000.
2,500, and I did have a comment. My comment was, I'm all for the cause, but we would be half their budget if we contributed 5,000. That was my
That's not,
reason.
that's not the first one. I think, what was it? The whole funding for the Women's Caucus for Art was from this fund. So, I mean, yeah,
So,
I'm with you.
I'm
with you.
They're a brand organization.
The Littleton Q? Yeah, so I just wanted to say that's why I did half, was just because it was their whole budget, so.
Same, 2,500.
2,000.
5,000.
2,500.
Okay, Voices West, 2 of 2. Put a bookmark on that one. Original Shopping District.
Can I talk about something?
Sure.
So Kelsey, who runs this, is the Walk the Chalk event. I wanted to just let everyone know that ACC fully is funding it this year. And so it's interesting that they're, like, I used arts and culture funding from ACC to fund this year's event that's happening in September. So I just thought this was kind of interesting, how much she's asking. That's a lot more,
What, just out of curiosity, what was your allocation?
1,000.
1,000, okay, thanks.
$3,000.
Well, now you just threw a wrench into what I had.
Sorry.
Because I don't know what's different here than, you know.
I mean, I think
previous
she
years, but-
wants to grow it.
But she is very specific, and that's my quandary with some of the other ones that were vague that I chose to not allocate money to. This one was very specific, so I'm gonna stick with what I have. I had 6,000 for this one.
3,000.
2,000.
3,500.
1,000.
2,000.
2,000.
Yeah, I had the same, 6,000.
6,000.
2,000.
Littleton Sister City Exchange, 3,000.
7,000.
3,500.
7,000.
6,000.
2,000.
I gave them 500 and in my notes I have, this is really, in my opinion, like a good faith grant. I didn't feel their ideas were fleshed and I didn't like that they were asking for half their budget for 75 people. So that's why I said 500.
How much did you say, Kate?
500.
500. Thank you.
3,000.
$2,000.
3,500.
2,000.
Littleton Symphony Orchestra, 2 of 2, put a flag on it, come back. Okay, we're gonna do Voices West, we're gonna do 1 of 2, and then we'll go to their 2 of 2 application next. And, we'll take a quick pause so that Becky can flip in between those two. Voices of West, application 1 of 2, 4,500.
5,500.
0.
6,500.
7,000.
2,500.
7840.
3,000.
This is, making sure clarifying 1 of 2, right?
Yes.
So that's 5,000.
3,000.
2,000.
Okay, so now go to Voices West, 2 of 2. Should be up above.
Thank you.
3,000.
2,300.
2,300?
2,300. Yeah, sorry, I'm going back and forth here.
No, you're fine.
2,000.
0.
5,360.
5,360. 2,500.
2,500.
2,000.
3,000.
5,000.
1,000.
We now have 2 depot art galleries. And in my book, it goes 1 of 2 and then 2 of 2 in your,
Yep, that was a copy paste error. Becky.
okay.
So do you want to? It's the same amount, so it doesn't really matter.
Boom, done.
So going in the order of your binders, we're gonna do Littleton Fine Arts Guild DBA Depot Art Gallery, 1 of 2. Good?
And this is for building a shed, correct?
Correct. Oh, I did want to ask. City approval, we ran into this last year.
Public Works has reviewed what they're talking about doing here. And they'll assist with it.
Okay.
There'll be some site preparation they'll have to do.
Okay.
And what is their relationship to the city? Like what, is it just the, sorry, I probably.
No, it's just as everything is, when it's a relationship, it's a little complicated. It is, the property it sits on is not owned by the city, it's owned by the state land board. The city leases it from it every year. The LPS also leases a portion of it for where their bus barn is in that parking lot. The Depot Art Guild leases this leases the depot from the city at 0 cost per year, and they run the gallery out of it. So it's kind of a tenant relationship.
So because it's a physical building, who would the building belong to?
Building belongs to the city.
Shed.
The train belongs to the city.
The depot and the caboose belong to the city of Littleton.
So if they build a shed, who does the shed belong to?
Well, I mean, the shed would belong to the Depot Art Guild, I guess.
Littleton Fine Arts Guild.
I'm sorry, Littleton Fine Arts Guild, thank you, Jody, shorthanded it, that's not accurate. Yeah, Littleton Fine Arts Guild, I think it would belong to them since they're the grantee.
And then they were ever to leave.
You have to shut up and take it with them.
Get to keep.
They're not leaving.
I mean, it's kind of complicated to me. And so
It is.
in my notes, I was like, it's for a shed, enough said. Now, you know, I was.
One
my
thing,
2 cents.
just to advocate on the shed situation, I am a sculptor and it is a freaking nightmare storing art, moving art, and the way they described it, like, it could be like detrimental to the work itself if, they don't have a proper way to store the work. And so I think storage is more of an issue, I think, for them, and I kind of feel bad for them, so I just.
As a former member,
Yeah.
the current situation is
Yeah.
it's a
Probably
closet.
dangerous.
It's a closet coming in from the outside of the old train depot. And so that means they haul everything from offsite.
I think it's an accessibility issue too.
Yeah, it sounds
A lot of
like
the
dangerous.
volunteers who work there are not able to like safely navigate that. So that's what Jack told us.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I just know last year, we weren't talking about any kind of area improvements for physical spaces. That was one of the things that we kind of echoed. This is like a whole new space, so I don't know if that kind of falls into that or not. I still am advocating for it because
It's not a policy one way, so we can do anything. Any other comments? Littleton Fine Arts Guild, 1 of 2, 5,000.
8,000? 5,000, and I really enjoyed the colorful picture of the crappy shed. In my notes, I wrote LOL, the pickup storage.
5,000.
Roy?
5,000.
8,000.
2,000.
4,000.
8,000.
8,000.
4,000.
Depot Art Gallery, 2 of 2, 2,000.
1,000. 1,500.
5,000.
5,000.
1,000.
8,000.
4,000.
3,000.
8,000.
4,000.
All right. This one stayed here, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, how do I say it?
Museo.
Museo de las Americas, 4,000.
4,000. 8,000.
5,000.
5,000.
2,500.
4,000.
4,000.
8,000.
4,000.
Roxborough Arts Council. 2,000.
8,700.
8,700.
2,000.
5,000? 7,500.
4,350.
Michelle, 7,500.
Yes.
Sorry, Kate.
4,350.
5,000.
Wait, can you do 4,350?
Sure.
Yeah, I thought we were supposed to round up to like 100.
Oh, were we?
Rounding later.
Yeah, we'll do the round. Well,
It sounds like you just split it in half.
the board will decide if they want to round it at some point. Jack.
8,700.
8,700.
5,000.
The Rocky Mountain Adventist Healthcare Foundation. Advent Health Littleton. 3,000.
9,900.
1,000.
2,000.
7,000? 7,500.
4,500.
6,000.
5,000.
1,000.
3,000.
Next in your binder should be the Arvada Center, which has moved. So we are skipping ahead to Cycling Without Age. 2,000.
10,000. How much? 10.
Yeah, I struggled with this one a little bit, but,
I did too.
yeah, just because I don't know, the art part of it was a little tough to,
Same.
yeah, cultural bird watching, I don't know, either way, they're adorable, $10,000, I guess.
3,000.
5,000.
I gave 6,000 and I just want to say, if you, people from last year remember, I brought this up and I was super surprised
Yeah.
to see they made it. I don't know how they got on here, but I don't think it's art, but I think it's cultural. And it's fabulous. If you've ever seen them do like a birthday party for an elderly person at Hudson Gardens, it's spectacular. And they have a little memorial garden in Hudson Gardens.
The pictures won me over, that's when I was like, oh, they're cultural.
It's beautiful, yeah.
Well, I guess what I liked about it was that it was making cultural events that we already currently are happening accessible for people who can't get there.
What were they asking for again? I have
10.
Okay. Did you already give your number?
Yes, I gave 6, I think. Did I say that?
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay, 5.
7,000.
5,000.
10,000.
7,500 for me. And I know I'm gonna be old and I want somebody that's gonna like.
Yeah, exactly. Think about your future.
So much. That may be the most honest answer we've got.
All right. David Taylor's Dance Ensemble, 0.
How do you say that? Is that Zeker? Zeker, I think.
We think seeker, but
All right, don't look at me.
I thought with Anna who told me seeker, so. I think you told me so. Okay.
Seeker, good
All
seeker.
right, fair enough.
Well, I have 2,000.
3,000.
I struggled with this because we have an SCFD history with David Taylor and he had problems 15 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. I'm hoping that all of those problems have been solved and this is a totally different production thing, so I gave it 3,000.
3,000?
2,000.
5,000.
1,000.
5,000.
1,000.
3,000.
All right, this is a joint project between Historic Littleton, Inc. and the Western Welcome Week Organization. 4,000.
10,000.
10,000.
3,000.
7,000.
3,500.
10,000.
5,000.
10,000.
5,000. I really struggled with this one because I think it's really vague. What they're doing.
Yeah,
Accused.
I agree with you. Thing with GPS and architecture.
Oh, can I revise mine? Sorry. I had 5,000 down. I wrote the wrong thing down. Five, okay. So Bart B for West, that should be 5,000. Okay, gotcha, thanks, Roy.
Okay, next up is historic, I'm sorry. We moved this. Western Welcome Week. 0.
Can we talk about this one? Just really.
Sure, yeah.
I have a big question mark on this one. I'm very confused. It seems like it's replacing the chimes with a clock tower, but that seems, I don't understand why that's not a city paid thing. Like, why would this become arts and culture budget? I'm confused.
I agree. I put down here, this sounds like it would be a great community fundraising project.
I have, they should get a corporate sponsorship.
So it's not just.
Okay, my question also is, do we want chimes?
Sounds really annoying.
Kind of a reason that maybe we let them go. Just saying.
I lived in Switzerland for 3 years and the church bells would ring or like the St. Mary's church bells. I don't know about you, but when you hear, there's just something, I don't know how to describe it that puts it into culture, but there is something musical and uplifting that makes you feel a sense of place when you hear church bells or chimes that are regular and part of your environment. I think there's more merit than.
I like the idea of it. I just don't understand like
Yeah,
why
why
this
we're
isn't being
funding
funded through the city. Like
I think it's
why
because they put the clock in place in the first place.
the city did.
Western Welcome.
Really?
Really? Oh.
The clock tower and chimes were given to the city in 2000 by Western Welcome.
Oh, and we should read the thing.
Yeah.
Do your homework.
We on the staff side did have a question about whether that would be the responsibility of the original sponsor or whether that should be RTD or city or some combination, but we didn't know the backstory on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to assume positive intent and that they've already, like, when there's logistical questions like that about ownership, that they have at least started those conversations. I don't know. if
Yeah,
that's-
we couldn't rewrite it for them, so
Yeah.
that was our assumption.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, we've all lived here longer than 3 years. Has anybody heard them? The chimes have not really been maintained and not worked for at least 3 years.
I've heard them.
You've heard them?
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
I mean, it's,
They're pretty.
Is it on the hour? Is it like a cuckoo? Like,
I don't know if it's on the hour or the 15-minute or the 30, yeah.
I think it's on the half hour.
Half hour. But yeah, and what they say about picking you, I mean, it's not like there's an actual, I don't think bells in there, but even if it's just a recording that plays songs, it sounds like chimes. I don't know what the mechanism is, but yeah, I remember because I used to pick Brianna up at the light rail station every day and I'd sit there and listen to them and they were lovely.
So they're played at a certain time of day that I'm never in downtown Littleton.
I don't know that they will project through downtown Littleton. I think they are
They're right there.
projecting the
And the
RTD
parking
parking lot.
Okay.
okay, that makes sense.
I've heard.
I've never heard them at ACC. That's interesting. 'cause
Yeah.
We're right across.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely been pre-COVID since I've heard that.
Yeah, it's been longer than 3 years. They haven't worked.
I think adding public art or some chime in music around a public transportation depot that provides a service to a lot of people that don't have a car. I just think it's a nice
It's a
idea.
busy area.
It certainly adds
I mean-
arts in my
Well,
mind.
musical is
Yeah, it's music.
And the city has a significant art piece
Yeah.
in that same,
the mural.
the depot, yeah.
JD, you were.
I was at 0, just,
I like the idea of the chimes, so I put 15,000.
10.
0.
5,000.
5,000?
0, and I'm afraid of Emily.
Why are you afraid of
I'm afraid of Emily. She's gonna take me out back.
5,000.
I said 5.
I had 0.
Confused.
okay. So this next one What does everybody have in their book?
Friends.
Friends. I have ACC.
I have ACC.
I have ACC.
That was moved to C.
Okay,
That's the one.
they moved.
We moved one
One
of
of three
Yeah,
moved.
ACC one moved to C.
Okay, got it. Thank you. All right. Friends of the Library and Museum, recused.
We had this conversation last year, but I feel like this is an organization that needs that support to keep them going and do even more than what they are capable of right now with their volunteer staff. So I funded 20,000.
10.
5,000.
15,000.
15,000.
So to your point, and I have heard that like they're really having a problem with volunteers even showing up. So my question is, has this run its course?
Oh.
Has the Friends Group run its course?
Yeah, I'm just asking the question. There's nothing.
Definitely taking you out back now.
Yeah, I think we'll draw
Denise
straws.
and Emily.
No.
I just
Well,
wanted to
I
ask.
hope it hasn't run its course.
Okay.
I really hope it hasn't. I mean, I think that they do so much and my membership has lapsed. I've not been a member in years. I will admit that. But you know, they're doing the book sale right now over there as a fundraiser. They do have some active volunteers. You see the same ones usually, and you could probably speak more to that than I can, Dennis, but I hope it hasn't run its course. And I do think that this is an organization, volunteering is hard across the board right now, not just in the arts and culture world, but everywhere. I mean, in schools, you name it. So I think that this is an organization that I would love to see have some new life breathed back into it. So that's why, even though we've had the conversation before, do we want to say yes to a salary, knowing that it may not come back again next year? I think that they're worthy of it, and I think they would give them the boost that they would need. So that's where I came from, and I did the full amount, which is a lot, but
I won't advocate pro or con on funding or anything, but I will say they are still a financially healthy organization. Like most membership organizations, they do struggle to keep those numbers up. They have the same kind of recurring volunteerism that they have always had. But they still have two very healthy fundraising events, the book sale at the library, the craft fair and Puritan Museum. So I mean, they are not an organization that's on the verge of collapse.
And they do fund Friends and Library. They fund library and museum projects each year in the 10 digits, the 5 digits, sorry. Wow.
maybe we need 10 digits.
Right, now,
I've got to adjust my budget.
now, yes, not without challenges, but they do serve purpose.
I gave them 6,500.
15,000.
Last year I struggled with this as well. And I think that it isn't an organization that's worked for what, 58 years? Is that what the word? Yeah. I use my glasses, but so I gave 20,000.
20,000.
15,000.
We will go in agreed upon order, looking at Arapahoe Community College, 2 of 3. Out of order in your binders. 20,000. 20.
So this is the Art and Design Center for events.
Art and Design Center Event Support, page 57.
I have 23,000 for that one.
Changing that number. Can I get a page number again? I'm sorry.
57.
57.
2,000.
2,000?
Thank you.
10,000.
Oh, sorry.
Wait, can I vote? I can vote though, right? I'm allowed to vote.
If she refuses.
Yeah, I voted last year. Right, Becky?
You recused on the dollar amount, but voted because we batched it.
So I can't give a dollar.
You cannot give a dollar amount.
15,000.
15,000.
20,000.
10,000.
10,000.
10,000 here.
I got one off track, so, Michelle, what was yours?
15,000.
Yes, thank you.
Can I, is there time for me to change mine?
Sure.
10. I had it at 2 and it's at 10 now.
We'll move next to Arapahoe Community College Foundation, 3 of 3. Tim, when you're good, give me.
And it's before
Page 55.
Oh.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, good. Yes, well, I just leave it all.
Okay, thanks. Arapahoe Community College Foundation, 3 of 3, page 55, 20,000.
22,000.
5,000.
15,000.
12,000.
10,000?
15,000.
40,000.
12,000.
5,000.
Oh, I'm off one.
That counts.
Is Katie? Katie recused.
Yeah.
I got it. I'm good. Thank you.
This is our go-to.
Without any. I know.
He does it with panache.
I cannot read your handwriting.
All right, next up is going to be the Littleton Symphony Orchestra. This is 1 of 3, and then we will go back in the binders and do 2 of 3, and then 9. 12,500.
This is one because it's regular season operating costs. I had to kind of weigh what their budget is and their other funding sources. I gave 0 to this one.
5,000.
12,000.
20,000. 15,000.
10,000?
10,000.
5,000.
15,000.
5,000.
All right, next up is Littleton Symphony Orchestra, 2 of 3. In your binders, it's page 21. $4,000.
5,300.
500.
5,000.
6,000.
1,000.
4,000?
5,000.
5,000.
1,000.
5,000.
Okay, next up will be Littleton Symphony Orchestra, 3 of 3, page 9 in your binders. 1,000.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to. 1,200.
3,600.
1,500.
3,600.
0.
3,600?
3,600.
Hey, were you 3,600?
Yes.
And then 10 you were too.
Sorry, this is 3 of 3 again, right?
Correct.
3,600.
1,000.
1,000.
All right, scrolling back down. We are now at, by my account, South Suburban Church, or South Sub Church. Page 61. 5,000.
I have 0.
0.
12,000.
0. 1,000.
0.
5,000.
5,000.
0.
0.
All right, next up in our binders is the Littleton Independent.
Say something about this one? I'm worried about it being like an entire salary.
Yep.
Like, and they asked for 55,000, so no one's gonna do this salary for 25,000, I don't think.
Part-time. Quarter-time.
Yeah, that's what I was concerned about. Did they, but doesn't it says there, yeah, renewal for a total of period of 2 years? So are they assuming it is a 2-year?
I guess I just, they don't have any,
They'd have to come
there,
back-
if
come back next year.
$180,000 annual budget.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that they get a second year on that.
Yeah, a whole salary, I mean, I just kind of,
And they have they have $180,000 budget, so what is that money going toward?
when they're like, I mean, the way that it was written, it was like, if you don't give us this salary, then we won't have
No
anybody
arts
to
and
cover
culture.
arts and culture, and I'm like, kind of felt a little arm twisting there personally. but-
Colorado Community Media does employ a fair amount of part-time people, I know, because my daughter's one. She works for the Arvada Press sometimes, and it's hourly, so it's not, there's not a salary deal there. So I would think some funds could still help. But obviously, it's way above what our spending limit is for any given grant anyway.
My comments where it's not our purview, is this replacing or in addition to Sonia's position? Or who's replacing her? So
Like, did they cut that position?
I don't know.
I think for me, regardless of any of that, I love this. I want this. I think that when you talk about reaching people for the arts, this is the type of position to do it. I wrote $0 for a couple of reasons. One is because I don't think it should be fully on this body or the city to fund it. I don't think that's the only reason you should have arts coverage if you're a robust and diverse newspaper. So, and because they went over the limit. So I love the position. I hope they can refigure it and come back again next year. I think it's valuable, but for me, for those reasons, 0.
There was a part of it where it mentioned a memorial scholarship. Is the memorial scholarship already in place in honor of Sonia? Did I read something off?
I don't remember, Kate.
What page is it?
Fellowship?
63.
64 is where, well, let's start talking about it. 64 at the top there. Establishment of multi-year Sonia Ellenville Arts Journals.
This establishment of a multi-year Sonia Ellenville Journalism Fellowship would serve that mission and be a transformative step toward ensuring and sustaining the quality of both local news and arts communities. It's a fellowship,
Yeah, that's how I saw it, like almost like
Okay.
an internship slash.
so it's a 2-year internship for
This position.
5,500. And okay, so it's smart of them to use Sonia's name.
Sure.
It's very smart of them. Because I thought Sonia was done writing and hired a while ago.
I don't know if she's fully retired or not, but I thought the same thing.
I mean, I'm all about honoring Sonia and, something, a memorial. But from a salary standpoint, I struggle. And because they asked for up the amount, but they didn't follow the rules.
Well, we voted to keep it in, so I
know
think
we
if
did.
someone's inclined to fund it up to 25,000, by all means.
I gave him some money, but
Well, so reading it as a fellowship to me means you're not expecting a lot of money. I mean, it's kind of that internship, it's student teaching, it's,
Right.
sorry, but.
I know. I did.
You're learning as you go, so. So I would be inclined to give them something.
Well, you said 0.
In my preparations, because they were over 25,000,
And that
Did
was,
0.
that was my reasoning as well. I said 0.
But if they're in, that sway you or your original.
No, I mean, I'm reserving my right, as you all should, to change your numbers either after this or at the end of it. That's fine. I think everyone should not be swayed by what I did. Yeah, I mean, they do what you want to do.
Okay, so 0 and 0.
I'm still a 0 for now.
Okay.
One of our missions is to spread the awareness of all of the projects and arts that we're doing. I think paper is pretty crucial to the point, so 10.
0.
25,000.
25,000.
15,000.
10,000.
15,000.
I'll go 15,000.
25.
12,500.
So I think that brings us to the end of category A. This is one of the times where you let know that you change your dollar amounts. Do we want to total it first before people change, or do you want to change?
Let
before we
us
total?
huddle real quickly and compare notes, make sure we all have the same numbers, and then we will get that tabulation. But as far as whether you want to do the adjustments before or after, that's your call, however you want to do it.
Let's do 5 minutes. They'll huddle.
Would it be very difficult to see what each of our totals is? Just, I think a lot of us changed our numbers after we shifted things around, and now we might have some play money or not towards some things in the other categories. Would it be
So
possible?
I'm sorry, what were you asking?
Could we sum up what each person has spent to see what we have left to propose for other?
Total row for category
By person
By
or?
person.
She's
By
By person,
person.
not by total.
Yeah, she wanted to look like.
If there's a formula to do that quickly. If that's too much, don't worry about it.
Just take a second.
That would be awesome. I have no idea where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Sorry,
My numbers
sorry.
change.
I'm trying to ballpark it in my head.
I know, it's just a privilege to watch her. We'll see.
I feel like I'm learning.
I wasn't sure how many I had.
Well, I mean.
I just- I'm up.
I was going.
Yeah,
I've never-
This is just
never-
one thing. It's
And that's
all-
the folder for
So I don't.
I mean, I'm just
Adding
going
I was
in and,
trying
yeah.
to bulk up some of the ones I said.
No,
So
I
I actually have an.
But did I go?
Yeah,
I have
so
an
Did I go?
By my math, well under half.
I have-
But,
All right, it's up there, everybody.
Okay.
Didn't do any of this.
Well, because I knew.
Are we not doing?
Okay, everybody, you can now see
I do that for
Becky's
money for
whiz,
profit. I
wizard
do-
Becky.
On Excel.
That's what I got.
Those are your
I said
totals.
I've got a lot.
Is that right?
Okay.
No?
Yeah, no, yeah, mine's.
I knew that we were-
Okay.
So I.
Noah confirmed, so.
Okay, where's
that? Yeah.
So we had 250,000, so you would subtract it from 250.
Can I ask a question about the stadium funding? The plans. Is there any reason why we cannot fund youth programs and also submit them to for the stadium funding?
Council doesn't generally let you double dip into funds for the same projects. So if someone submitted a individual grant to us requesting something, and then that same entity submitted a different individual grant to stadium funding, they might well get funding for both of those. But if you're asking if they have the same grant funded out of arts and culture and then get funding from stadium fund, give them their total, they probably could not do that.
So the question is, are we going to transfer all of the youth applications to the stadium fund?
We have already sent the ones that staff identified over to them. And we've added, I think, probably 4 or 5 tonight. 7, those will go over to city manager's office tomorrow.
Are any of those still on our list?
Well, they're now in bucket C.
Are they on this list?
They're not on the list that we've just gone through.
Okay.
Everything that the board voted on tonight has been moved over to C, and those will be transferred over to the stadium funding. they're using the same grant.
Okay, so all of those that are listed here have not been transferred.
The ones we voted on tonight have not been transferred. They'll go over. The ones that you open up to category C, everything that's on that list in category C right now has been transferred over already, as we identified those as youth programming. Board has now moved, I think,
Oh, except for the
7 more over to, those will go over tomorrow.
Can I ask a question about the recusal? It doesn't count as a zero for me,
Correct.
affecting my
Right.
average.
A zero counts as a zero, a recusal counts as nil.
Great.
Yeah.
We just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so so for everything that you.
Because my numbers are wrong because it doesn't include what I've accounted for. See on my spreadsheet.
It wouldn't
That's
count.
okay.
It would count as a zero in the total, but it wouldn't count as a zero in the average column.
Right, it'll be divided by 10 instead of 11.
I'm just trying to understand why my number is different than that, because I have the spreadsheet, and that's why, because it's not taking into account the money I've set aside for.
So, yeah.
Did you want to huddle first?
Yeah.
And then, so huddle, bio break, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, call it 5,
10, Becky says 10.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
And then we'll come back and if anybody wants
They
to
all wanna
change
do
their
it,
numbers in
especially-
category A, we'll do that.
Yeah, and we'll have everything reconfirmed for you. Make sure those are.
Are we gonna be moving into the other categories other than, I think.
It looks
rules-
to, it
Rules are off the table, right? Aren't they gonna be? Or they,
nothing's off the table. So
Okay.
certainly the next category is murals. And the idea being if there's money left with the 250, then we will move into murals. And then if there's money left after that, we will move into youth funding. If there's money left after that, we'll move into for profit.
I'm sorry, I feel like this has been explained twice, but if we give youth programming money, don't we ruin their chances at the stadium money?
More than likely.
More than
So-
likely.
so that's
We should
what I
all
would
just say
recommend.
Reality.
Don't-
zero,
Probably.
right? Okay.
Yeah, I
It's a
mean,
nonprofit.
Unless we feel strongly about fully.
No, it's just a lot of money.
Right, that's.
I mean, I think that's
That-
the other
that's-
option is
that's
to
true.
either fully fund it or we would move it to the stadium funding.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah, if the board, yeah, Denise, right, if the board decide we want to fully fund something, then that's
Yeah, no, I
fine.
think
That
it
that
is.
takes
I
them
think
off
they
the
have
table
to-
probably, but it takes them off the table for stadium funds. If we just give them partial
That's why the city
funding,
manager said, throw us all
that
your-
probably takes them out of the running of
Oh,
stadium.
so we
I
can-
mean, that's been council's protocol.
That would be all or
Yeah.
If we go through A, we
average
come back,
everybody's
but after we
together.
talk through them all,
So
we
there
can
you
go
go,
back
the
and
average
figure
is
out
fine.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're gonna
Some
do it.
electronics, I'm gonna start.
Well,
looking
yes,
at
our
commercial.
players.
So
I would
what
like
is
to
now-
now make a motion, like, I would
No,
like
I
to
have
make a motion
bourbon
to
at
fully
home,
fund.
but
It
this
looks
one,
like it.
And then
Yeah.
Michelle
They're
would second it.
They're all twos
Yeah,
except
that's
for Noah
right.
with one.
That's
Oh,
what I
yeah,
mean.
I should have
Average
imagined.
ranch concert
Well, it must have
sales,
been chaos last year because it was
1,000.
your first
Well,
time.
keep in mind.
No, it was
too,
really
that
organized.
There's like
actually.
7,000.
And 500, zero,
Yeah.
1,000,
If we take
2,000.
the 12,000 left.
No,
from
this-
this year,
So we're going about.
Heritage Fine Arts
one
Guild
of
of Arapahoe
4,000.
County,
I think
Already
we were.
1,000, 1,500, 2,000.
That's
We experienced it.
Of course.
And I know
Oh, yeah.
some of
I
theirs-
remember.
yeah.
It was just that we
So I
kept
have a question.
churning the wheel because we had money left over and then we're going back
Pipe
and
band.
Right.
money back in and we want to do
So
500.
interesting, we
We
usually
just
Yeah.
kept churning it down.
We got out of here at what,
You
10:30?
know, the money we
Something
get there,
like
or
that.
not even have.
1,000.
I'm hoping we get out.
You can just like
And they had to
establish
take-
numbers, we'll have
You
some
know,
money.
you had to take.
So
that part I
So
can-
now they've
Yes.
changed it to where the recording it was Zoom. Last year it was like just feverish.
They're
Taking
right
all
right
those
now.
notes.
Yeah.
Sure was.
Tearing down one building. we're
But I think for
putting
being the first year that we did it, the fact that we got out of here.
every other building.
in 5
Aspen Grove
hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah,
know
think
had-
it was good.
But we
I know.
also had it on that.
Yeah, I think.
So-
Would you say it was rough? I mean, I guess
It's
we
like
could do
an
the
alley
numbers.
between
This year was all in
back
the back of our packet,
road,
was all the grants that we did.
like,
So this is all we had. This was
it's
all the
not
applications.
close
last
to
year.
the end.
So it almost tripled.
It's like
Oh, yeah.
My bet.
Oh, so I was wondering about that.
Yeah,
Everyone
which
said,
we
"Oh,
knew it
wow,
was
they're
gonna
getting
happen.
money."
I figured the floodgates would just open.
There were a couple of them I read.
In one of
Twenty-five
So
the-
it's, I don't think it's.
I don't feel like I read anything
2,000,
in here that was
2,000, 5,000.
Some of them were like definitely, listen, I want you to fund our.
And then I saw it.
Our normal expenses.
Yeah, one's higher budget.
Last year, we didn't have a binder, so they just gave us like a dump, so we had to kind of make our own spreadsheet.
Yeah,
with
we
all
were
the
like
stuff on
looking
it.
through all these.
3,000,
I need
7,000.
to.
So the way that they built this little binder this year
You know
was
what?
perfect.
Yeah, this was very helpful.
Oh, yeah.
If they're sinking ship, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Well, and
You know.
I think
Symphony
all of
205.
would say they need
4,000, 5,300.
Yeah, again.
500.
I thought that was interesting and some were very minimal, then others have extensive notes.
It's because I just think it's like, you know, application A, B, C, D, just down the list, you know, like.
Yeah, they're just fillers.
Yeah, it's the same kind of filler material, like you're.
Those organizations like
What I would
clearly
advocate.
they've done this
Well,
before.
Oh,
They're like-
They clearly have great, they have great writers.
I mean, yeah, they just have
So they know
great
what they're
things.
doing.
In Arvada Center, of course, that's like their standard RFP language.
8,000, 4,000.
So they're like, they
do
just,
so, they still
and
get
then
all
you
the
have these
money.
others that have like a passage like this.
Art gallery, 2
But
of
if we're
2.
only gonna do 50%
clear.
each.
2,000, 8,000.
Or very clear, like they're just very tactical about what they're doing.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we're gonna be.
4,000, 3,000, 8,000, 4,000.
Yes.
Museo, 4,000, 4,000, 8,000, 5,000, 5,000, 2,500, 8,000, 4,000, 4,000, 8,000, 4,000.
I think we can probably, you know, let's say, knowing.
2,000, 8,700, 8,700,
It's still a pool of
2,000,
money
5,000,
for murals
7,500,
specifically,
4,350.
but not enough to
5,000,
cover all 7 of these
8,700,
applications.
87,
And
5,000.
keeping in mind that other applicants may come
Spent
forward in the next
3,000,
18 months. I think
1,000.
it's interesting that I want to have all of our mural money come.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
5,000, 4,000.
They want to fund it out of.
Cycling without
Aid that other.
Yeah.
I was gonna.
It's pretty cute. 2,000, 10,000, 10,000.
Say that last part.
When they
5,000, 7,000.
put their stuff out
5,000,
to
10,000,
solicit.
500.
Hey, Judy,
you know, their
Taylor,
interfaces,
0.
Records.
Yeah.
Their,
No,
their clientele
1,000,
are programs. That's what they sell. So they don't sell little. It's like, now
What's
we
your
have
well
all
combo
this
with
money
his
coming.
story?
You know what? You can spend your money on your own
10,000,
murals.
10,000.
Yeah.
5,000.
I also was confused because.
3,500, 10,000,
No, I know it's
5,000,
not
10,000,
thing anymore.
5,000.
but
read-
there was a period of time
Wait,
where
can you
we
read
were
those last
talking
four
about
again?
demoing that
Yeah.
whole site
Start
and
over.
stuff like that.
No,
Yeah, to build a apartment complex, I just, I'm just not, yeah, exactly, I think you're still in this back and forth,
5,000,
it's an
10,000,
STP.
5,000.
Area.
Western Welcome Week.
Yeah.
It's only
0.
No, that's
10,000,
not
10,000, 0.
No,
5,000,
ask her
10,000, 0. 5,000,
No,
1,000,
yeah.
0. Recusal.
And I don't, and this is
Friends.
Bank.
That's 1,000, 5,000.
Did I catch that right, that the
Part of what,
brewery,
especially.
2,000, 25,000.
Yeah, they didn't want to.
they didn't want any of them running.
Video recording.
Raffle
so anybody
hose.
can-
They don't want what?
College
There's
kids,
like,
yeah.
there's like, screw you,
The
take it.
last
out.
brewery, the
22,000,
High Plains,
5,000, 15,000.
Girl that they want to
I-
shut.
12,000, 10,000, 15,000.
I gotta understand that, whoever owns, I don't know who owns
I
it.
think that was.
And it is shocking because what that thing started out with is that old gas station.
10,000.
And then they were gonna add on to it this like kind of
20,000.
small little thing. And then it became this gargantuan thing.
Symphony.
They haven't produced an ounce of beer.
12,000.
They're gonna
don't-
be out of
0.
business.
5,000.
So
You think-
what we're.
I don't know, just for me,
10,000,
the,
8,000,
it just.
5,000, 15,000.
It's starting to get
Well,
cold
that-
in here. I should get my blanket out of the car.
They were supposed to be open last summer.
Keeping me awake.
5,000. 0, 12,000.
I mean, they must have a bunch of Bitcoin money or something that's just allowing them to hang out.
0,
So I got this.
But-
Guys,
I don't see any of their brewing equipment going. So they're not brewing off site unless it's some kind of combination.
Yeah.
Of everybody.
Like, funnel- or they just got big deep pockets.
Or at least like.
They're doing a mural with the stand for themselves.
Yeah, they said they didn't. That's what we.
Because our argument was that it seemed very
I
self-serving.
probably did.
And I think we're gonna give them, I don't know.
Said 5.
Yeah, like,
No,
I think I either saw it as let's stop the face.
Oh, oh, right, of course. That's what-
So.
And they had some big artists too, like some renowned artists.
So I. The client
This is
is.
going I feel like this is smoother than it did last time, somehow.
So what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's driving for.
But again,
It had no, but my understanding was it had no
Or it's JDC.
significant city or anything else.
We're doing okay.
It is.
You know,
No,
that's
that's the
not-
name, that's like, that's, dude, it's,
I know the city.
Start earlier?
No.
I think they're
It's
doing
just
this
Denise
as,
and Katie are one.
or some, or vice versa.
A lot of us have done
I
it.
thought.
That's what it is.
Yeah, so we didn't have to sit down.
Every
I'm
single.
interested to see what happens when they open.
And you've done it.
If they open.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotta
And then you go right down
down.
the street, this Denver Beer Company, and that thing just sucks all of the.
But now
money
I need
wants to go
to,
there.
just in case I totally
or the organizations that count us.
Yeah, we.
So I believe that if they were to start changing. This.
Yeah, it's true. It's less painful that
I would
way.
be just trying to get things open and then do some. And I watch their, I watch all their videos on Instagram. They've got a professional marketing thing going on too. And they've been interviewing this,
Take you out.
top dog, head brewer for the, there's gotta be some serious money.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you think so? 9:30? I think earlier.
It is, but
I'm gonna say 9.
we'll see what it's like.
I think.
But it's at least
Oh,
6
if
to
we
8
can't,
weeks.
did I say it 10 last
I
time?
don't, I'm not seeing any brewing. but there's
What, how
still
much cash
construction
JD
going
has
on.
on it?
There's no way. you're
Every
brewing
minute.
beer.
I just remember last year being really
That's what
exhausting.
again, that's what makes me wonder,
And now I
like,
feel like
there's
maybe
gotta be
it's the,
some
maybe
other
it's because I had
connection to
happen.
that. I don't know the owners or anything, the investment.
I think
Becky,
yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that for every minute that we go over
Over what?
9:30,
Okay.
that JD has to give each one of us $1.
He's not here.
I second it.
Oh, he is.
Wow.
That's his
My wallet's on the
incentive to.
floor over there. I don't know what that applies to institution of gift giving.
Ooh.
That makes sense.
Does.
I mean, I think.
Oh my God.
Not your fault.
Don't you hate that when you're wearing black?
I know. I was tempted to take it home. I'm like, no, I'd like a little sweet now, but.
I go to DBC.
I keep
different
eating the
beer
little
company.
bits of chocolate.
Yeah, yeah. We're, Jackass used to be,
Yeah, yeah.
their beers is solid.
They are
We
very
just
small.
decided.
They were
I
small.
was like,
Also-
Surprised. I'm glad that you eat chocolate.
I was-
That's great.
Is yours the lemon bar? So good.
Well,
I saw that, I was like, they just don't
They
have.
could-
Their patio was
They
kind of like,
finally ran out of
And
mine,
lemon
which is
stuff.
fine.
I don't right into it. On.
I've been there the other version. The patio's like, it's basically a 4-season patio. And when Jackass was in there, they just had picnic tables out
Oh, yeah.
there. So pretty much shut it down in
That's
the winter.
Yeah, they couldn't, they had to school space.
Like now I'm like,
Yeah.
I knew
Like,
I
then the first thing to do was raise that up, just curtains in there, heaters, a little bit of ambiance. Way they went. What's that?
They're good.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, ready?
Now I know.
Man, that chocolate is like potent. I don't need much of it.
Okay.
Can't be mad at it.
So the night is young.
Your wallet's
Wow.
heavy?
Well,
Oh, it hasn't been heavy.
We already saw.
Not ready to concede.
We actually.
Okay, is everyone ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, so at this juncture, what we're going to do is give everyone a chance to adjust any of the numbers in category A that they would like based on their own personal total. And while we haven't tabulated the total, we know that we're well under $250,000. So there is ample elbow room to adjust category A and then start to talk about other categories beyond that.
Can we see what the category was totaled to, or like what they're gonna get? Based on our,
So based on what you recommended
Uh-huh.
here, here's the
getting 19.
average.
okay.
The average is here and then it's rounded to the nearest 100.
Oh, okay. Are we gonna go through each one at a time?
I think we can look at it and, I mean, if I was so inclined to get the Encore players up to their $2,000, I would add $100 to my total. I don't know if that would do it or not, but
I mean, I think the exercise we did last year was we went through and if you had numbers like that, and it's because we had a cushion to work with, we simply rounded it up to the nearest 500 or the nearest 1,000.
Right, we didn't adjust individual.
Exactly. We didn't,
Okay.
we didn't go through board member by board member. We can certainly do that if the board wants to. But we could just make adjustments to round up and see what that total looks like. Right now, you have about $105,000 left to allocate. If you do the roundup, that will bring that number down, but not significantly.
so. I think we can do both. If you want to adjust any of yours, let's adjust them and then we can do the total. I will go to the Littleton Independent and take it up to 25,000. I think for now, that's the only one I want to change.
I'll go next unless you have one.
I'd rather wait until we get to the recommended award amount and do it that way.
At the end?
No, well, instead of just going through and saying I'd like to add 200 here, 100 there, I'm gonna wait until we get to the recommended award amount and chime in there. Chime in there, Kate.
Well done.
I have a few I need to significantly adjust, so if it's okay, Littleton Q plus, I'd like to full amount 5,000. Ready for the next one?
Say that again, Emily.
Littleton Q plus, I'd like 5,000. Then I get a Littleton Sister City Exchange, 7,000. Advent Health Littleton Foundation, full amount, 9,900. Last one is, are you ready?
Mhm.
Okay. The ACC College Foundation, oh no, I'm so sorry. The Littleton Symphony Orchestra, 1 of 3. Change that to 15,000, please.
Roy,
No changes.
Roy holds. Katie,
What?
any big changes?
I'm good.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna end up with more money in my bank, but I don't have any.
It's fine. That's great. Kate,
Okay.
Tim,
I'm gonna also up my Littleton Key Plus to 5,000.
I went to the farmer's market last Sunday because I had never been.
Yeah.
It's fabulous,
Really?
fabulous.
Oh, nice. Good. That's good to know.
Really,
Mine too,
really
it's really good.
successful, I think.
Awesome.
any others?
No, that's good.
Joe,
Q plus 5,000. Then can you scroll down to Big Littleton? Can you kick that up to 5,000? And then all the way down to Littleton. Can't remember what I think I gave 15.
Littleton Independent.
Yeah, you're at 15 right now, Joe.
I'll kick back to 20. Oh, 20.
Can I throw a bag out up to 7,000, please? I think that's it. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
Noah,
So far.
Q plus, move that to 5,000. Cycling without age, 10,000. And Friends of the Library and Museum, 20,000.
that's it.
You said 20 on Friend?
Yes.
Thank you.
Right.
I've got one, I missed here, the cycling.
Okay,
And, yeah, 7,500. Whoa,
Nope.
that's a little bit more than I was
Are you committed or not?
planning. I'm a generous person.
I'll play money.
Okay. Anybody else? So now if we would like to look at totals for each, so comparing the column O with the column B and make any shifts with conversation or discussion, we can do so.
We just go through them one by one and see if we can just round up to an easy.
We can.
Yeah,
Would it
like
be
we-
helpful? So right now, is that our,
We have 98,000 left to award.
so we've got some elbow room.
So we want to do that before we look at the other ones?
I mean, yes, we can always come back again. I think
Okay.
what we'll do from here is we'll take a final stab at A. And then we'll move to B, and we can have a philosophical conversation first, knowing that there's another pool of money. we can decide as a board whether we want to just fund everything out of the lodger's tax tier 2 and leave tier 4 totally intact for later mural applications, which remember this funding goes through the end of 2025. So there will likely be more murals that come forward in the next 18 months. So we can partially fund murals. We can fund them all out of our existing pot of money and leave tier 2 intact. We have those options. We can decide what to do. Then we'll go to category C, which is the youth programming. I think my recommendation would be to this group is unless there's an applicant we want to fund 100%, they're probably better to go to council. But we could choose one or more applicants to fund at 100%, assuming there's money left, and do so. And then we'll go to tier category D and E and fund those. So we can round up and clean this up or leave it. That is up to the group. But we have some, like I said, we have some money to play with. Does anyone not want to clean these numbers up a little bit? Anyone want to just move on?
I would like to move on. I'm good with where the numbers are.
Anyone else?
I'm kind of partial to cleaning it up now and signing off and then moving on to the next tier.
That's where I am. Anybody
I mean,
else?
we're close. We're almost there.
Let's get it done now, instead of later.
Clean it up. Voices speaking is 3 to 1.
I guess I just am worried that I might, at the very end, want to go back and add more money to this.
Yeah, and I think it's possible that I could end up in that spot where I could have,
Extra money.
We can do both.
yeah.
Cleaning it up now doesn't necessarily stop us from cleaning it up later also.
So we are not going to look at for-profit. That's
But we-
where,
it depends on if there's money left.
So I have money allocated to some.
so did I.
Yeah, I mean, the way the process is set up, you'll finish awarding within category A. If you have money left over, you'll then go to category B, which is murals. If you have money left over, you'll then go to category C. I think JD's right. Either fully fund something or let it move into stadium funding for this year. And then if there's money left, if you skip C and move to D, that's your for-profit right there. So that if there's money left, there'd be awards to allocate there.
Or to say it a little bit differently, just to reiterate, the organizations and the applicants that started in category A got there because they were closest to the target, so to speak, based on the discussion from the previous meeting. And as we consider other categories further down the list, B, C, D, E, we'll be considering applications that are further away from the center
That's a good
of the target.
Very visual. I like that.
Nice.
I'd like to proceed to the other categories.
So we have 98,000 technically to proceed to the other categories. Or we could clean this up, round it up, then see what our balance is and then move on to the other
Wait,
categories.
Becky, what's our total right now? Right now you have allocated $151,700.
So we have $98,000 left
Okay.
to allocate.
And if you go through the exercise we did last year, which was just essentially round it to the nearest 500 or 1,000, you're not gonna bring that. You still have to allocate with down significantly. It'll go down a few $1,000s, but you're still gonna have in excess of $90,000 to award moving into the next tiers.
Okay, maybe I,
Cleaned it up.
I think I would be happy if I just start giving away some of my other money right now. Because I know for B and C, I just don't feel strong about most of them, any of them. Can I do that? Can I go back and?
Sure.
Yeah.
Then I'll feel a little bit, okay, so could I please do, so I had, could I do for ACC 3 of 3? Could I do that up to, at 12 and I can move it up to 15? And for 2 of 3 ACC, can I move that from 15 to 20? And for. Hang on. Okay,
The Museo de las Americas, I had 2,500. Can I move that to 4? And the cycling without age, I had 6. Can I move that to 7,500? And then I feel much better. Thank you.
Well, and while we're at it, I'll go, I mean, I passed the last time around, but I'll go ahead. I mean, I am not interested in going all the way to D just personally because they're for profit. So I will put some of my bucket back in there too. Can I start at the bottom because that makes more sense on my spreadsheet? Is that okay with you?
Yep. That works.
So Littleton Independent, I'll do 15.
15,000?
15,000, sorry, yes. Museo de las Americas, if you could bump me up to 8. And then Littleton Q, if you could bump me to 2,500. Thank you.
So are we looking at the yellow column right now or the,
Looking at the yellow column.
okay,
Are we allowed to do a motion at this point in the meeting?
to do what?
My motion is to clean up the numbers and then move on.
You can make that motion, absolutely.
I'm making that motion.
I second.
Okay, we'll give Katie and Kate. Rounding to the nearest 100 or 500.
Yes.
Okay.
Not going over what they asked for though.
Okay,
Well, we've already rounded the nearest 100, so you,
I meant 000 or 500.
oh, okay,
Sorry.
gotcha. So the nearest 500 or 1,000.
Not going down, always going up.
But not past what they've asked for.
Right. So motion and second to round to the nearest 1,000 or
Round up.
round up.
500
Thank you.
to 1,000.
Not to.
All in favor? Okay, I think that's everybody. All right, would you, at your leisure?
Do you want to go through it or do you want me to do a formula? Well,
Why don't we
Line by
just, can we go line by line?
Yeah,
and
let's
read
go.
the other like last year, just so we can see?
2,000,
1,000,
1,000. 1,500,
500.
sure.
4,000. 4,000. 3,500.
That one was at,
That was.
so that was at 45, so it should just stay
Yeah, that
at
was
45.
That was at 45.
Okay. 45.
Mhm.
What do you want now? We're at this one. 5,600.
6,000.
Yeah, I got 6.
6.
This one stays. Yeah.
Sorry. Can't see.
I know, I'm trying to see. It's so hard. It's so far.
Try to turn these lights off. Let me turn. This, I think it's
Yeah.
the spot.
Yeah, sure, let's blame it on the light. It's not my office.
Not my vision. I need to-
Oh, that is better.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, but you all owe me $1 for doing that, so.
Thank you. Is that good or do you want more light?
That's great.
No, that's great.
Thank you.
It's like watching a movie.
But you can see.
You can see.
Wow. All right, so we're at Advent Health.
55. 75.
Stays. 1,000.
Or no, that was 45.
I'll get there, I promise.
You're good.
Oh, wait.
It's one of them. 14.5 again.
Yeah.
11.
Days.
All right.
Oh, that's still.
Beautiful.
Still 90 grand.
Mhm.
So
Now
if-
we're
And
going,
wins again.
So looking then to category B, which is our mural programs. Let's separate this. It's not our mural programs. These are independent requests separate from our designated mural programs. The mural program currently has $12,000 for 2024 remaining. And it has 24,000,
25, starting in 2025.
25,000 for all of 2025. When we separated it and pulled the murals out, we did so knowing that we had that money, but what is at the moment $37,000. We don't have to spend any of that 37. We can leave that for another day. Or we can choose to fund some of these requests through that money. So perhaps we start by deciding if we want to factor in any of that money in this conversation, or if we're just looking at the applications that we have in front of us as part of the tier 2 funding and are totally separate from any future dollars.
Totally separate.
Anybody that we don't fund. could-
where's the future money coming? I'm super confused.
Same.
So
Tier 4.
tier 2 is what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Tier 2 is the binder. Tier 4 has the mural program in it.
Correct.
At 25,000.
At $25,000 and there's $67,000 in requests from the grant money. So we would not be able to fully fund everything that's in here from tier 4 anyway. Just
And-
to think about,
And
so
who determines for the murals?
They apply to this body and then our public art subcommittee awards that money.
Oh, which I'm on.
Yes.
Got it.
No, yes.
So I just want to confirm, we had mural requests come in via tier 2, like this process, like,
Mhm.
okay. that's fine.
Unrelated to the request from the murals.
Yeah,
Right,
it's kind of just
unrequested.
happenstance. We didn't expect there to be so many mural applications. It happened to be 7, which is significant, so we
Okay.
grouped them in
That's
together.
fine.
We weren't expecting
Yeah.
it.
Anna, what's the average cost of a mural?
And that totally depends on the size of the wall and the artist that you hire, but in general, it's about $40 a square foot. Yeah.
There's such a huge disparity between $4,000 to 25,000. And as I went through this and individually allocated funds, my thought was, do you really need 25,000 for for a mural?
No, and I just want to say this, and I
think
mentioned
Jenny
it
would
to
disagree.
JD. No, Aspen Grove, I have done murals for them for free for like 5 years. ACC goes in, we use our funding to do, the students do murals, the public votes on them. They're temporary though, they're usually on the windows. I think these murals, they want to put more permanently in this sort
Sure.
of alleyway. So they are a
Sure.
little bit
I
different.
feel like the alleyway is hidden. I've walked past it a million times. It's
Yeah,
like-
location's
Same.
not great.
But like
they're-
the Alamo would get a lot of visibility.
25,000 is high for a
Oh, yeah.
mural.
And if it was gigantic?
I think it also depends on who you have that's doing the mural. I mean, some of these professional muralists are
Oh, I'm aware,
incredibly
yes.
expensive. And I know Jenny, I wish she was here to kind of give some of that background, but she had said that even some of these might be a low ball, depending on the quality of artist that you have. So it could be a full range. It feels like a lot of money. But you also get what you pay for in some of these things.
So my problem with it is it's Aspen Grove. We don't know what's gonna happen with the property. They're a for-profit marketing themselves as their clientele is the polo grounds. They, that's when they bring in clients, when they try to lease their spaces. That's part of their marketing piece is that, oh no, it's all the rich people who are coming here. I feel like they should pay for their own murals.
There is a mural in one of these locations already. Pollinator Alley has a mural that they did with Rocks Art Center and kids came in. My kids actually helped with this, came in and helped paint and create. So there is a mural already.
That's
in
where they
one-
wanna
in-
do the other. That's where they
Right,
want-
but
yeah.
that's my point. There is artwork already in one of these two locations that they're requesting.
I suggest
Denise, you're-
referring to this page in your binder if you haven't already. Ask me.
Yeah. But your kids didn't get in for $25,000.
No, they didn't. But I mean, I'm just saying that there is artwork in one of the
Sure.
locations that they're requesting more artwork.
I mean, when our students do murals for them, the student wins and the student is given $500.
I feel like we're digging into specific requests versus the broad approach, and I'd still like to answer the question.
I think we should leave the
Tier
next
4.
section, the 2024, 2025 money alone for future murals. And I think we should take this out of our $98,000.
May I call that a motion?
That I move that we do what I just said.
And
Second.
and Roy seconds.
I'm sorry, that would,
We're,
can I clarify, that would cover all of this?
No.
Will you
No.
say that one more time?
No, I move that we leave the mural money alone for future murals that come in that we can look at and discuss. And that we take a look at each one of these from the money that we still have in our.
But we
this
wouldn't
pool.
necessarily,
We can say no to all of them.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go through.
and anyone that we don't fund could apply for that money.
That's right. That's
right.
They could then apply later to the mural funding.
Correct.
So it won't automatically go into the mural funding. They won't, these applications won't directly go to
They'll have to
the.
apply it.
So we have
Joey,
to
I
read-
think what you're saying is, as you're suggesting they be moved for consideration into the mural program.
No, she
No,
still
I'm saying
wants
that
to.
the category
The
B
opposite.
murals that we look at them each
I
individually
see, okay.
and say yes or no to.
Okay.
So there's a motion and a second to consider these 7 applications with the remaining $90,000 that is left in tier 2.
Okay.
Any other discussion or questions?
Are we voting on?
There's, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Wait, what are the 7? I see 5. now.
There
There's
could be,
5.
I don't, there's other 5 as well.
It's
That's
fine.
5.
Five.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then let's start at page Evolution Hair Studio. And shall we do it the same way we did A?
Yeah.
4,000.
4,000.
2,000,
0.
4,000.
4,000.
4,000.
2,000.
4,000.
4,000.
I just have a question. Where is this? I see the address, but I'm trying to.
It's right on it's Hill Street, kind of adjacent to
It's,
where that. It's like, it's my hairdresser.
You know how to drive there.
It's
A
kind of
couple
near
blocks from downtown.
it's about a
yeah, it's like a block from
block and a half
downtown.
north of.
It's pretty hidden if you're not looking for it, but what I will
Near the
say
barbecue,
is, yeah, when.
Is there like pretzels and that kind of stuff?
near the alley studio.
when
Okay.
we
Oh,
did
There's a parking lot on the south side of it. They've got a wall.
Okay.
That's painted over last time.
The reason why I'm partial to her is that when we did that mural tour, the walking tour, she came out, she talked to people about the mural and why she put it up initially. So it was, I mean, just to touch it up seems like a great idea. Also Palenque, like they have a great mural already, but same, like they came out, they really encouraged the mural tour. They gave us free little mini margaritas.
Well,
It was just a really nice.
The other
I'm a
thing
big
about
fan of the church.
the
4,000.
Evolution Hair Studio is they actually have a gallery in there. So if we were wanting to create like an artist walk with studio, she has a gallery in there and sells work out of it. I showed there at one point. So I mean, I think that she really can bring arts and culture, not just
Sounds like it.
promote her business.
4,000 for me.
Next up, Blanque. I say 0, and really one of the big differences for me is exterior where anybody can see it in it versus interior. I read this application is interior arts.
Is this interior?
Interior and exterior murals?
They talk in the description about the exterior mural. But the grant proposal is to fund a local artist to improve and increase the amount of murals inside the restaurant as well as the outer walls. Fair enough. I'll for the moment stick with 0.
Okay. The number of people that use their bathrooms during events that don't actually partake in eating or drinking there, I'm going to say is public, so I will say 6,000.
6,000.
That's a good point.
I mean, we've done that
0.
ourselves.
0.
Again, I want to say, the ones that I'm zeroing out, there was no art included in the application, and I can't prove anything for anything that I don't know what it's gonna be.
I have 4,000.
Katie
We
what?
had 0.
0.
Okay.
5,000.
3,000.
3,000.
5,000.
I did 3,000.
You said 5. No, you said.
Yes.
We should also clarify that they will still have to go through the process of bringing a design into the public art subcommittee, so.
Yeah, I said 3.
Yeah, this, while you're making a preliminary award tonight, they will still have to go through the whole, the normal application process for a mural, so it will be back by the board, sorry,
Subcommittee.
subcommittee, yeah.
Okay. Grand Station. 5,000.
7,000.
7,000. They do feed the cast of all of the shows at the Town Hall Arts Center. And they also are very involved in the local community and businesses. They're a really solid business and they're at that front end of that whole Littleton Boulevard. So it would be a great entryway.
0.
4,000.
7,000.
7,000.
7,000.
7,000.
7,000.
I think this is a great one. Like, it's gonna have a lot of exposure on that side. 7,000.
Now we have 1 of 3 and 3 of 3 for Aspen Grove.
Two of 3 was, down in the for-profit side. It was not at all.
What page is the mural on?
It's not a numbered page.
69.
I would say, I'll comment on a comment. I'll respond to a comment I heard earlier. All of these locations are likely not going to be demolished or redeveloped, I would guess, for the better part of a decade. The southernmost building where Panera is the one that is slated to come down and be redeveloped next spring. Every other building in this complex, while it may be redeveloped in the future, has not been put forward to the city. There's no plans to do so. They're doing one block at a time. So as it relates to that element of it, I think it's still a decent investment in public art.
I would just also note this is an area where we have never put public art before. It's a section of the city that doesn't tend to get a lot of that kind of investment, so.
And they also invest a lot in nonprofits and arts organizations throughout the city.
Yeah, they've been very supportive of us.
Yeah, ACC, Town Hall Arts Center, the Littleton Symphony performs there. The pipe bands perform there. I mean, they're very accommodating to arts and culture.
But would we have them in for profits? If they were on a mural?
That's true.
Well, so are the other shops.
They do have one in the for-profit category. It's their number 2.
Why is this one not considered?
Because it's a mural.
It's a mural.
Oh.
And there's nothing in the mural policy for profits can't apply.
Mural, some could in category B, if it was for profit but not mural, they got most of
If we give them funding, partial funding under this, can they still apply for additional funding in the mural program?
I don't think there's anything that would preclude them from doing that. It would still have to go through the approval process with the public art subcommittee.
That'd be a factor for the subcommittee to consider.
Let me ask another question, which I was gonna ask at the very end, but I think it seems relevant now. These are separate applications and will be awarded separately. And this applies to any organization which had a 1 of, 2 of, 3 of, 4 of. If we award 50% of 1 of 3 and 50% of 3 of 3, they can't combine that to make one mural. Is that true?
I would say that is exactly right because they're contained in separate applications and the funding would be specific to that individual application.
Yeah, they'd have to write a report on each one of those applications.
Yes.
They could show the same thing.
They're mid-year, they're end-of-year report, you're exactly right. If you came back and said, oh, we just pulled it together and just did one instead.
Yeah, that would mean half of the funds that were awarded were not used for what those funds were designated for.
Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify.
Now, I do think they could come back because we do have an opportunity for them to come back mid-year if they want to and say, we'd like to request an adjustment to how we're gonna use those funds. But that would have to come back to the board for their approval. They couldn't just do it.
If, for like the Alamo one with that giant wall, what do you think if they only got like $1,000 for it? They could still do a nice mural for less than half of what they need?
I mean, they could get funding from another source.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'd have to work that size.
I mean, I'm kind of curious as where they got their figure from. You know what I mean? I mean, where did they get that 25,000 from?
It looks
Do
like
they already have a bid?
I
It looks like they have a
guess-
quote that says 36,000. Maybe an artist quoted them that.
But I mean, they could have just taken the square footage of that wall and multiplied by 40 to 45. That's a ballpark number that we've used in the past. Generated estimated cost.
Okay, thank you.
Probably under what it is, under 10.
So that's gonna be a
That's
big mural.
They've
They're
indicated
doing
their
a lot
first
of work for.
priority.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, the Alamo is their third priority.
What'd you say, Anna?
The Alamo is their third priority. So the Pollinator Alley is their first priority, then the Native Seed Lending Library is the second, and the Alamo would be the last one.
Oh, but it's not written that way in their thing. It says grant. And with their pictures, it says grant 1 pollinator alley. grant 2
Yeah,
Alamo.
so that was information they submitted originally, and then when I went back to ask what if they had a priority order, this was the information they gave.
I see.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
So you know,
Yeah.
All right, are we waiting for me?
Mm-hmm.
Tim, I need guidance. I'm inclined to
I'm here for you.
I'm inclined to recuse. Only because I ask Aspen Grove for a lot of money for Town Hall Art Center frequently. And while I would certainly not benefit directly from this mural, I just think I'm better to say, stay out.
Ultimately, it's every member's choice, how they want to handle something like that. If I were ruling on it, I would say that's not a close enough relationship. You would have to recuse, but I think
I kind of feel the same way because we do murals for them all the time and I think I'm gonna recuse myself.
that's what.
I agree. It's up to each individual board member. I don't see anything on the face of it that would necessitate recusal, but I can also understand concern over optics.
Yeah, I'm recusing myself.
I think I'm going to also.
There's too many emotions here.
No easier than last year?
No, with this one. With this
I eat at
specific.
Panera 3 times a week. I may have to recuse.
It's more than 3.
Sorry.
Like a nice turkey sandwich.
Well, I know this is their first of 3. It is the least likely to be seen. And I also think about Breckenridge Brewery and the amount of traffic that comes up and down Santa Fe. that would see the one at the Alamo. So I'm going to say 0 for this one only because it's less likely to be seen.
0.
0. Again, I said, I never knew this alley ever existed. So I don't think it would be seen at all.
Recuse.
Yeah, I would say 0, and then maybe if they end up with almost 0, then we say come back to the other bucket.
I'm gonna say 0.
0.
0.
0.
This is this is the first time we have ever been.
Just as a note, I don't think they can come back to the other bucket because they're for profit.
Oh.
To the mural program?
The mural program.
Oh,
Mural back to
they
it.
can.
Okay.
There's no.
Okay, sorry. Never mind. Recused again.
Wow. And I have visions of Sunday goat yoga with pictures of the mural. So I'm gonna say $25,000.
25,000.
15.
Recusal.
I'll do 25.
5,000.
15,000.
You remind me again of which is this mural again?
This is on that.
This is on-
This is the Alamo?
So this is
Yeah.
more public facing.
This would be more public facing, very.
Yes.
All right, I'll go 15 on this one.
I'm gonna change my number to 15.
15,000.
Yeah.
It is so.
Really want to say 0, but let's go 15.
No pressure.
Is it artists?
I did 20.
Yeah, better be good.
Yeah, JD's point's well taken. The exterior buildings were up in the air. I don't think the Alamo is going anywhere. And your point's well taken. Doing yoga, having a nice mural there. It's,
By the bar box.
yeah.
They're pretty busy.
All right, we will fairly quickly tabulate this tier or this category and board and. 5 minutes, Becky.
Sure.
Balance your fluids.
Ready? That was your studio.
No, I'm starting to do. I need some wine now.
I mean, it's the only-
I'm gonna have my martini.
I need some food brochures
You guys-
what they are.
Yeah.
To make sure, yeah, to make sure it doesn't say,
That we can go to.
Alamo Draft House.
Yeah,
So then-
well, I have to.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
so it's,
we
yeah,
don't
so it's
want it
gotta,
to-
it's
yeah.
gotta go through the sign.
Got it.
Throw one away,
Got it.
throw one away.
To make sure we all like it.
Right, exactly, cool.
I go there
So
all
it
the
will
time.
go through. them.
It'll go
That's
through
fine.
the shells.
Yeah, we will.
The one next category though.
Recusal from McCrum and Katie and
Pyramid will be around for, it's like a
Aspen Grove,
cockroach. It'll
3
know
of
that.
3. Recusal, 25,000.
But yeah, a lot of wine stores
25,000,
just got
15,000.
murdered by
No.
the
11,000, 15,000,
wine and
15,000,
grocery stores.
15,000,
So,
15,000.
I just, it's so.
Alright.
sure.
And Costco.
And then you get, you
Costco
buy 6,
wine
you get
is
10%
so
off.
deal. Such a
Costco
deal.
wine is such a deal.
One again.
You're seeing.
But not their beans, not their coffee beans.
They're bad.
Tell you all about them.
Dear God.
I don't drink.
Still got 60,000.
1, my husband is pretentious. 2, he spends money on stupid things. 3, it was a coffee grinder.
Not just a coffee grinder.
At Costco? You bought the
Apparently
coffee
it
grinder?
sings and rises into the heavens.
At Costco, you bought that?
Do not use Costco oily dark beans in the pretentious expensive coffee grinder.
And we certainly got 60.
Great.
Or just smells bad. It smells like cheap.
Well, I could flat out
coffee.
And then I got scolded.
What coffee beans are able to go in?
I mean, I'm gonna-
Very lightly roasted, light.
Nothing greasy, nothing
Expensive coffee beans, that's what.
After coffee.
Oh, yeah, I have a neighbor that makes like, he has like a big old
You know what I do?
setup
I have a
and this
cheap
grinder. I think
Oh,
he's
yeah.
spent like $200 on the
My
grinder.
my cousin actually sold it.
You put beans in it, you press
Yeah.
it, and it grinds
And
it.
they grind it and make a pot of coffee. Yeah, I
For the
don't
love of
actually
God.
drink coffee, but.
Keurig arm goes
I make
up,
coffee for
K-cup
her.
goes in,
So,
arm goes down.
but we just buy pre-ground.
That's right.
Yeah, I want you to know that.
My husband is pretentious.
He likes his toys. Big guy. My wife puts up with me collecting physical media like records and movies.
Jason likes that too.
But, so I do that. And unfortunately, the kids, two of my three kids discovered they want to be guitarists now, so they're buying guitar stuff. Yeah, it hasn't been too bad, but, and one of them was graduating, so get you a guitar. But,
No, are you a cyclist?
Yeah, I ride my road bike a lot, yeah.
Okay, are you a cyclist? So Jason just finished the Leadville 50 on
Oh.
Sunday,
$100.
and he did it in 7 hours, 16 minutes.
Damn, that's a mountain ride. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I've had way too many friends break collarbones, concussions, forearms.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a roadie more than anything. I mean, I have a mountain bike, but
I think this.
So to your point,
You look at it as a dollar amount, Dennis, the ones that were close.
is it like a Yeti SB?
you got a scalpel for a pedal.
I love the Scalpel. That's a Cannondale bike. Like they're just not well,
Our being close by a dollar.
not a lot of people have them. They're cool because you just have the one arm, it's shot, one side shock, so it's not a, doesn't have shock, it doesn't have springs on both sides. It has
Oh, I
one
know.
side.
Yeah.
So, they're a cool
Eating
bike.
spaghetti now, a lot.
I struggle.
And Costco coffee.
Oh, they'll throw you off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See, when I was riding with my buddies, he had one.
they look so cool, but like in terms of just,
I like nice things too.
but just in terms of-
things.
Anytime you have,
Personality for me, I would buy.
well, just it's so unique. Like you could take
But as
any bike
Denise
and
just
throw
sold
another
me down
shock.
the river.
But that's a scalpel,
Don't you
you can
have
have
that
a scalpel
coffee?
shock. It's gonna be,
I
the
do
tear
have
down
a
kit is gonna be
pretentious
different.
With a pretentious coffee.
My road bike that I ride is over 25 years old.
And
It's
he
a
immediately
old
knew what
Trek
the problem
life
was as
wheels,
soon as she asked.
old
And I was
school
like,
carbon.
probably don't know. He goes,
That's pretty old.
Costco.
So did you
Still-
fix
still
it
rocks
for
and roll,
him?
man.
Did he fix
Yeah.
it?
I don't know that he,
Yeah,
my husband's not a fixer.
Oh, there's not
There's
a.
Yeah.
He,
Pretentious coffee.
It was so
I'm
cool.
doing it.
I would take it and take it
I
apart
think
for
I'm gonna
him.
ride
Because
it.
it'd
I
be
think I'm gonna
fun.
ride it in
wrong with it?
Bacterium.
Yes.
During like the little community ride time, like where they, like in between
Jason
some of the
can
rides,
fix
they
it
have
if
like
yours
a
ever-
half hour that they
I
let
know.
anybody
Fix
ride
it.
any bike or whatever.
Oh, really?
Cause it always, I'll show you a photo of it. It always gets.
I actually.
Looking
Always
at it?
look at it.
For profit, we gave. Of the guitars.
Well, I did.
Well, yeah, they started with me because I.
Back to around.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
The.
Right now, what
I
happens
love-
is my
well, the
son
downtown
gets
is
theirs
fun.
fixed guitar, and I want.
Water bottle.
Oh, yeah.
You know what, that's really
Even
cool.
though, I mean.
It is cool, it's fun. I think he would much rather be
Okay, so yeah.
like jamming with people his own age instead of his old man, but I'm what he's got, so. And it's helping tighten him up a little bit. It's
Like, I
helping
gave
me.
them
I'm a
both.
very amateur.
I gave them.
With a guitar and sing.
Ones that are in the top category, say, closest to me.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it doesn't look as old as it is.
Guitars.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would've looked
Six
at it, I was
string,
like,
12
that's
string
old.
harmonica.
You say it's 20 years old?
It was, yeah, it was manufactured in '97.
Oh, yeah.
That's closing.
He probably like
third.
my actual
I'm really-
guitar Gibson.
It's, I
In
mean,
the
yeah.
seventies, it's a Les Paul. It's an
Artichoke.
artisan, and it was made
Got a
specifically to
threadless
market
system
for
up front. The old, it was
So
old
it's
enough
got
that
all
it had a
the
threaded steer in front.
stuff, but really.
But, other than that, it's had a tummy tuck and a.
All right, everybody, if you're ready to go, here's what we're gonna do, just as we did with category A. We'll do a quick pass at category B to see if anyone wants to change numbers, and then we can round or clean up as we desire. So let me start with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyone want to change anything on their individual numbers for category B for this?
I would like to give Blanket $6,000.
It was the bathrooms, wasn't it?
It was. Because I've used those bathrooms and I feel like now I should.
I'll bump
Donate
mine up
to that.
5.
And you don't mind.
Like, I'll
They're
bump mine up
clean.
to 5,000.
So Joe,
Jane's going up to 5.
Bump mine up to 5,000 on Plank.
Can I bump, 3 of 3 for, Aspen Grove to 25.
And I'll bump my plank way up to 6. Any other individual changes? Okay. We can do our automatic rounding up to, I guess it would be 3, 5, 4,000, 6,000, and 19,500.
Yep.
Okay. It was brought to my attention that some of the categories in A are very close to being fully funded, in some cases just a few $100s off. So in the interest of our target analogy with category A checking more boxes than so on and so forth, we can go back and adjust again for A, or we can move on to C.
I'd like to move on to C.
I second that motion.
Any other discussion?
Okay, I hate to be the naysayer here. I kind of like the idea of fully funding what we can out of A, because they are, to your point earlier, when I think of it as a target, it changes things in my mind a little bit. But I also like the idea, some of these organizations have very small budgets. I like the idea of fully funding them if we can. We didn't do that a lot last year, and we have an opportunity this year to do that.
I see the bottom line number.
Totally.
Okay, the only thing I was just gonna contrast to that is we'd mentioned some category D, that being like Arts Park, that we'd want to evaluate too. But I think we still got 60 grand left, so.
Let's spark move to category C.
Yes, I'm sorry, what to say.
Before we give out more money, can we even talk about the DDA in category D? Because it's a big request and
Well,
Little
let's,
Can we go through C
let's,
first?
let me do this. We have a motion and a second to move on to category C. So if there's neither any other discussion on that motion,
Oh, wait, why are we moving on to C? That's youth. They're gone, right?
There's a motion and a second to do that or not.
they're not gone.
They're not gone.
But C comes after B.
Okay.
This is where we need the water.
All in favor of moving on versus backwards?
We can always come back to A.
We can.
We come to, we can do it again.
Okay. After B comes C.
Felicia.
How much money is in the stadium fund? Potentially
Approximately 600,000
for
youth program.
in Littleton,
Yes.
600,000. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the city last year before last
Lot more
got
than
a
we've got,
million
yeah.
to something when the Broncos sold from the Bowen family to the Walmarters.
Well,
Thank you, Walmart.
Same
Is this a
right,
one-time?
yeah.
The other question is this a one-time thing?
This is the second of 2 years. So there won't be any money after this.
Okay.
So it's a one-time thing for us this year.
The stadium funds, last year, I believe council gave some of that money to the East Community Center. So these will not be the only applications for
Right.
that money. There will be more.
We do not have $600,000 to play with.
Well,
Correct.
we also don't know who else has applied for the money. They have $600,000. We moved some into that fund, so we have with the group A that we moved into group C, $209,000. And how much was Arts Park?
25,
So-
20.
I've got,
So we have $220,000 in our youth programming that may or may not get funded. But if we do decide to fund it, should be all or nothing. Otherwise, we would hamper their chances of getting something from.
Yeah. So,
Right?
yeah, so I think what we'll do when we consider C, and I'm not exactly sure of the process here, is I would recommend as a commission, we award them all of it or none of it.
Right.
If we award them all of it, then they don't need to go, they're done, collect their check in January, move on. If we award part of it,
Assuming council approves.
assuming council approves, no, well, yes, our money too.
Yeah.
If we award part funding to a category C, we believe that we are hindering their ability to apply for stadium funds. And so in a sense, whatever we give them is what they will end up with.
Well, yeah, but we won't have any kind of averages. So like when you go through here, it's binary, it's gonna be like a yes or no. So do we vote? Like, is it gonna be, we take a vote to fund it all or not fund it all?
Well, that's the process and I don't know yet. I think what I'd honestly start with, is there any organization, and I'm not starting yet, but what I might do is ask for nominations of groups in category C to discuss fully funding that application. We have what's little less than 60,000.
57 change.
Does that feel sort of right or?
Can I ask one more clarifying
Yes.
question? If they don't know about the stadium fund, but they will, might they apply for more money than that? And if we give them exactly what they asked for, fully funded, but then they're stuck with just that amount, like some of them asked for $5,000, but they've got this big pot to apply out of once they find out about the.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
possible.
good point.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
I think, again, I think if they were applying for a different project for funding out of the stadium funds, then yeah, I think they could do that. If they were, we're going to say, we've got $5,000 from the arts and culture grants. We'd like to ask for another $5,000 out of this. Generally, they don't let them don't let applicants double dip out of two funds.
I think the question is, did they ask for money from us in a conservative fashion, not trying to take more than their share?
No, we didn't.
When if given all the information, they would have asked for more from the stadium fund.
It's possible, but we.
Who knows?
Well, we had a.
At that point, we're just projecting.
Well, that's,
We have a
true.
limit.
Our limit is 20,000. They did know that, but.
The other question I asked Tim is there any way for us to gauge or for him to gauge, how will council respond to, in the case of Littleton Community Music Association, 3 unique applications for stadium funds? And we don't know. We don't know if they will consider all 3, if they'll consider that we don't know.
So I make a motion that we go ahead and take section C, all of the youth programs, and recommend them to city council.
As a whole,
Second,
the whole group is what you're recommending?
Recommend them to council for stadium funding?
Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
With no funding from us.
seconded,
And sorry, will they be communicated with?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I hope so.
Any other discussion, questions? All in favor of advancing all of these applications to city council and taking no action and awarding no money from tier 2 to those organizations we have categorized as category C? All in favor? Sorry,
I just wanna, just before we say we recommend it, we're not taking these dollar amounts to city council. We're basically telling them, you should take your funding to city council for the
Your funding
stadium
request.
funds. Yeah, your funding
Your
request,
funding
right?
request.
we are advancing them on their behalf.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll.
but not the dollar amounts. That's
Yes.
all.
No,
Yes.
we'll send the applications with the dollar amount requests to city council. Because council has said, or the city manager said that they will use our applications for the stadium grant funds. They will, so the applicant wouldn't have to apply a second time. So everything that's in those applications will go to them.
It's literally passing the application that we received, transferring it to that process.
Including the dollar amount they asked for.
Yeah, I only, just playing devil's advocate for a second, you mentioned, well, hey, if they didn't know this thing existed, that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
is it better to just tell them, like, hey, we've taken your application and we're gonna submit that, but just so you know, this thing exists, so that if they have the opportunity to change their request
Dollar
amount,
amount.
they have the ability to do it.
That's up to the city. That's not our decision.
I know.
Well, and I think that the complicating thing with that is that stadium grants close on the 15th. So.
Timeline.
Can I be a further devil's advocate? Our process limited them to $25,000. What did the stadium grant application? What was it? There wasn't a limit. That's the only thing.
Right, back to the order, potentially that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about?
But would they be any worse off?
No, it's just that one time, this won't be gone, right? So they have an opportunity to kind of land grab as much as they could. Potentially.
Yeah, so, and then, sorry, before we vote, I'm gonna make one other comment and editorialize a little bit. As I mentioned, last year, East Community Center applied for and received several $100,000 in operational funds towards Denver Stadium Fund. In our application, we have a $20,000 request for specific arts and culture related grants. I suspect, although I certainly don't know, the council will not consider both. And I suspect they'll go for the bigger one and ignore the second.
Oh, so you're thinking that these groups can very well apply for both.
I think specifically the East Community Center will and probably has applied for operational funding from. And
Okay.
as, again, as council doesn't often entertain double dips, that this particular application may get lost. So I'll throw that out.
I think that's certainly possible. I do think if they are separate and distinct projects that the individual applications are applying for, they have a chance. I think council might consider that. Where they wouldn't let you double dip, I think, is if you were commingling funds for the same project. But it's a crapshoot.
And I will personally appear before council and advocate for what we did and why we did it.
Well, I mean, I don't mean to put you on the spot, JB, but I really feel like I'm hearing from you that you want us to use our funds to.
I don't mean to necessarily say that. I'm just trying to be as transparent with all the information as possible.
Okay.
I'm not advocating one way or the other. But I just, if someone feels passionately about one or more of these, and we have 60,000, I want to give people a chance. I will vote no on this motion. In order to allow for any conversation that somebody wants to happen.
We're having the conversation now.
There's a motion.
But we have a motion on the table, so we have to
Right.
act on it. So the motion on the table is to not take any action on category C and move on to category D. And if there's,
And are we thinking that if there's multiple applications from one source, that the city would only look at one of those applications? Because there's 3 in here from Littleton Youth Ballet. All 3 of those are in here
This came
now.
from city manager's office. I think they may approach this a little differently.
I would agree. I mean, yeah, I think Becky's right. I think the fact that this was suggested to us by the city manager. I do think they'll look at each of the individual ones. Now, I don't know that Mike probably knows. I don't know that they know the specifics of what each of these grants are, but they were pretty solid on thinking that youth programming had a great shot at being fully funded. The fact that there are multiple from the same organization is a wild card. I do think they'll look at all.
There's only a few that are, well, second page, they're larger amounts, but a lot of them are for small amounts too. I mean, $600,000, didn't they have a hard time funding that last year? So, yeah.
we have a motion and a second to move on to category D. So I will ask for votes. Yes, raise your hand if you want to move on to category D and not fund anything tonight in category C.
And send these to.
Send them to city council. 2. Perfect. Okay. Category D.
We can take arts park, they move the categories.
All right, Becky, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. The art studio I was 4,000.
Remind me how much we have overall? See,
59.
60-ish,
So it's like 59,000,
57.
57.
Okay. I'm 4,000 for this one.
Which one are we?
Alley Arts.
Alley Arts.
Oh,
Alley.
97.
Oh,
oh, sorry. 4,000.
2,000.
1,000.
2,000.
4,000.
3,000.
4,000.
4,000.
4,000. Next up is the Garrity Aspen Grove Seed Library. I was 4,000 here as well.
2,000.
1,000.
0.
2,500.
0.
2,000.
2,000.
0.
1,000. Next up is the Chocolate Therapist. I said 4.
0.
3,000.
0.
6,000.
0.
5,000.
0.
5,000.
0.
1,000.
Next up, Luna Creations Services LLC. I was 0.
I had no money left by the time I got here, so. Which I was pleased with because it was a 4 category. I'm gonna say 0.
2,000.
0.
7,000.
0.
10,000.
0.
0.
0.
2,000.
Luna Creations, no, Art Spark. It's-
Then we moved up to C.
That's right.
The two DDA applications.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Now, is Littleton DBA, is that for profit?
Is it, I mean, it's a government.
Yeah.
It's funded through tax, it's a government.
The district.
It's
It's
a
like a
district, yeah.
boundary. Yeah.
So it is not,
They listed
it,
themselves as for-profits. That's-
yeah, they're not really a nonprofit in the traditional sense, but they're not a for-profit
They're
either.
not a for-profit.
I think the only reason they said no is because they're not a 501c3.
Because they have city sanctioned meetings and all that.
Reminding myself for 2 differences.
Does anyone know more about this project downtown?
So, yeah.
Yes.
So. Yes.
Do share.
Please tell us about it. There's so many things going on, like I'm on this Slack page and there's like 7 different types of organizations. I'm getting so confused about the different organizations in downtown Littleton. So you've got the Littleton downtown and you've got the project downtown. Like, what's the difference?
So I'll answer and I may editorialize a minute and then I'll let Tim correct me. Project Downtown